Hi guys, it's me, Chancellor HD, and welcome to the race watch along for the 2019 German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. And great news, guys, it is very, very wet at Hockenheim, and it looks as though by the radar and by what people are saying that we are going to have a wet Grand Prix at Hockenheim, the first real wet race in quite a long time. So we are in for a very, very exciting day of racing here in Germany, and I cannot wait for it. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it along with us today. Also, Niv will be along with us later on, 15 minutes before the race starts, something like that. So yeah, we are going to be in for a great day of racing here at Hockenheim. Hopefully you guys are having a very good Sunday no matter where you are in the world, and hopefully with us you will enjoy today's 2019 German Grand Prix. But before we get into previewing the teams and looking at how they are going to do in most likely wet conditions for this Grand Prix, let's first get into the results of qualifying. And let me just quickly adjust this slightly so you can see the full results. So Lewis Hamilton, of course, is starting on pole position. Max Verstappen is second. Third, Valtteri Bottas. Fourth, Pierre Gasly. Fifth, Kimi Raikkonen. P6 is Romain Grosjean. Then it is Sainz, Perez, Hülkenberg, and Charles Leclerc, of course, in P10. And then knocked out in Q2 yesterday, Antonio Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo, Daniel Kvyat, and Lance Stroll. And then it was Norris, Albon, Russell, Kubica, and Vettel who were knocked out in Q1. Norris, by the way, has took on some new parts for his power unit, so Lando Norris will be starting on the back row of the grid with Ferrari driver Sebastian Vettel. So that promotes Albon to 16th, and of course Russell and Kubica respectively into P17 and P18. But now let's get into previewing how I think the top teams first are going to do in this Grand Prix. Let's start off first with the Silver Arrows of their home Grand Prix Mercedes. Of course, they're going to be wanting to get the victory because it's their home Grand Prix and continue the great success they have had at this track. But now it's raining. The job to do that does now become a bit tough, because, of course, Red Bull normally have a good car in the wet. Max Verstappen is very good in the wet. So it's not going to be easy for them to win. But they are normally, Mercedes, very, very strong in the wet, as we saw in 2018. And, of course, when it does rain, aerodynamic grip is important. And they do have plenty of it. So I do expect them to be, Hamilton and Bottas both very strong today. I don't know if they'll be the fastest at times, but they are going to be strong. I don't see them being, really off the pace or anything like that in the wet. So I think you could definitely expect, especially Lewis Hamilton, to be right at the very front of the grid fighting for the race win. With Valtteri Bottas, Valtteri is all right in the wet, but not that great, especially compared to Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, I think they'll be pretty good in the wet, and it will definitely be interesting to see how they do. Next up is Ferrari. Ferrari, their qualifying yesterday was so bad. Of course, P10 and P20 with two reliability issues, a fuel pump issue for Charles Leclerc, and a turbo issue for Sebastian Vettel. So, awful qualifying. But with the rain, even though I don't think the Ferrari car will be, amazing in the rain, it does present more of a chance of them getting into a possible podium position than it would if it was dry, because you never know what could happen in the front four grid positions, because of course in the rain it is very unpredictable as Formula One. So I think their chances of, say, gaining positions due to crashes or, some kind of spins by certain drivers does go up because of the rain. But I don't expect the Ferrari car to be that great in the wet. But for Ferrari, as long as they get both cars in the top six, then considering, where they've started from, I think that's honestly good enough, because, I don't see them getting into the podium positions and really going for the race win unless we get, you know, a safety car at the perfect time or anything like that. So I think Ferrari are most likely going to be P5 and P6 in today's Grand Prix. And don't also expect them to, you know, fly through the field. Yes, their drivers are very good, but there are also some other very good drivers out there in the midfield. So yeah, I think Ferrari, they're going to get in the top 6, most likely, but it will be a slight struggle at times. And next up out the top teams, of course, is Red Bull. Red Bull had a very good qualifying yesterday, of course, capitalising on Ferrari's errors with their reliability. And now that it's wet, I think their chances of a race win go up even higher than it would if it was dry to start the Grand Prix. So I think Red Bull, definitely with Max Verstappen, are looking very good for the win. It's going to be close between Verstappen and Hamilton for sure, whether it's dry or it's wet. And I think we are in for a classic battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. But considering how the Red Bull car most of the time in the last few years has been in the wet, they should be, Red Bull, definitely contending for the race win at the very least, if not winning the Grand Prix. So I am expecting great things for Red Bull today. If the Red Bull car is, you know, even better than I think it's going to be, then Gasly could get his first ever podium in his Formula One career. So definitely look out for Red Bull during this Grand Prix, because they really could take the fight to Mercedes and possibly win this Grand Prix, which for them would be absolutely fantastic. But that is the preview for the top teams so far. Before we get into the midfield, guys, I'm going to come to you guys in the live chat, because I want to hear what you guys have to say when it comes to the top teams. For Mercedes, do you think they will have, with Lewis Hamilton, a good enough car and driver combination to go and get the race win? For Ferrari, what do you think they can do come rain or shine? And for Red Bull, do you think they will have a good car in the wet? And do you think because it's wet, do you think Max Verstappen can absolutely take the race win today at Hockenheim? Let me know in the live chat, and for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll read out your comments, and then we'll go on to the midfield and preview what is going to happen in the midfield. And I think we are going to have a lot of chaos in that midfield for sure. But before I do, I just want to say, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, as we on this channel consistently do practice 2 qualifying and race watch-alongs for every Grand Prix in 2019. So if you want consistent watch-alongs during a weekend for every weekend during the 2019 Formula 1 season, then make sure to subscribe either on the bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there, or go to my homepage, subscribe there, and also hit the notifications bell. And also don't forget to smash the like button for more content like this. But guys, I do have a bit of a cold today, so you will have to at times bear with me. But I'm just going to quickly clear my nose, and then I'll come to you guys in the chat. Right, so let's see what you guys have to say. By the way, great to see so many of you here already. Already 250 people here already. Great to see every one of you here. And now let's read out some comments. So, Sebastian says, I am super excited for this race. There has not been a wet race for ages. One little mistake can cause a crash. If there is a standard start, there could be a crash at the start. Well, I would be very disappointed if there was a safety car start to this race, because, you know, the driver's safety is a lot better now with the halo than it was before the halo. So I don't think it will require a safety car start to the Grand Prix. It's not that wet. It is wet, but it's not that wet, you know, around the lap. So I don't think it will require that. But we'll see. I think Merc is faster than Red Bull in the wet, and Lewis is great when it's raining, says Gina. It's going to be very close in the wet between Lewis and Max. It really, really is. Yeah, I don't really know what to say at the moment, because I just think it will be really, really close between those two drivers. Right, let's look for some other comments. Hardeep Singh says Hamilton is the king of rain. Absolutely. Ben Bailey says Hamilton will win because he's very good in the wet. I think Lewis Hamilton, because it's wet, will finish at the absolute worst in P2. I don't see Hamilton dropping any lower than that. And I think the same goes for Max Verstappen. I think the top two is going to be, Hamilton and Verstappen, even if it's dry by some miracle. So, yeah, I think those two are going to be really the only contenders for the victory. I hope Valtteri Bottas can get in there, but I just don't think as a driver in the wet, he is as good as Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen. So I think the best Valtteri can do today is, keep Gasly at bay and finish in P3 and hope that, maybe Lewis Hamilton makes a mistake or gets, took out by someone so he can, collect more championship points. Right, let's take a look at some more comments. Twin Prime says, yay, it's raining. That's basically the thoughts of everyone. And then says it's going to be a classic between Lewis and Max, the Rainmasters. Well, for me, they are both the two best, I think, drivers on the grid, whether it's dry or wet. So, yeah, I think we are in for a great race, really, because of that. Right, let me look at some other comments here. Louis Trashard, Vettel must go slicks, track will dry out. Right, Captain Amazing, Seb, Max and Kimi would love to see Daniel do awesomely as well. Gasly in the rain, I'm not so sure about that, says Chris. Yeah, we haven't really seen Pierre Gasly ever in the wet in Formula 1, so that'll be interesting to see. I know we did in Hungary in 2018 in qualifying, and he qualified in P7 or P8, so he did pretty well. So I think Gasly, if he can nail down the laps, I think Gasly probably could be good in the wet, but we'll have to see, of course. Right, let's find some other comments here from you guys. Richard Reed, great to see you, mate. Says Lewis, great in the rain. These guys going get so good. Don't know what that means, but yeah, Hamilton is great in the rain. Right, let me find probably one more, or no, two more comments, and then we'll get to that midfield. You guys, Francis, can Grosjean capitalise on his good qualifying? I will say, and we'll get onto it later, I think the rain does help Haas because tyre wear won't be as bad as, it is in the dry around this circuit. So that will help Haas and that will help Romain Grosjean. But I'm going to be honest, I don't see, if it rains for the entire race, I don't see how Romain Grosjean is going to do 67 laps without crashing. I'm sorry to say that, but he's the type of driver that is going to end up spinning a couple times or just crashing out permanently. So, yeah, expect him to be in the wars. And Peter King says, in the rain, we will expect the Ferrari car to crash. Well, again, in terms of the grip of the cars in the wet don't matter as much as they do in the dry, but they still do have some significance. So even though Vettel and Leclerc, if they are, great today in the wet, like they probably will be, the car at times will hold them back from what they can do. Because again, the Ferrari car aerodynamically is not, suited to wet weather conditions where you do need good amounts of grip, like the Mercedes car and the Red Bull car. But in the midfield, because the cars are so evenly matched in the midfield, the Renault, Alfa, Racing Point, McLaren, Haas, Toro Rosso, it could be anyone's game between those drivers and teams. So, yeah, that's what's going to make it, for me, a very, very exciting Grand Prix. But now, let's get into the midfield. Starting off with Renault. Qualifying yesterday for Renault was better than they were expecting after what was a not so good, practice sessions for the team. But coming into this race, I think because it is wet and because these two drivers are good wet weather drivers, I think that does help Renault's chances quite a lot. Definitely for Hülkenberg because he's good at Hockenheim anyway, but also he does have experience of the wet at Hockenheim because in 2012 he qualified P4 in a Force India. So Nico does have good experience with the wet weather, and I think Nico Hülkenberg, you know, he is likely to be one of, not say the most front-running car, but one of the front-running cars in that midfield pack. I think Daniel Ricciardo, because it's wet, will also get in there. I'm not sure if Renault will get a double points finish, but I think definitely there'll be one of their cars in the points. But for Renault, they need to outscore McLaren today. As long as they do that, I think that's all that matters. Because even if, you know, Renault finish, say, one car in the points in P9 and McLaren don't score, I think that's good enough because they've got to start catching McLaren. So hopefully they can do that today with two drivers who are pretty good in the wet. And also another two drivers who are very good in the wet is Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris for McLaren. And for McLaren starting this Grand Prix, got Carlos Sainz in P7. That's good for him. And again, Carlos is a very good wet weather driver, so you can definitely expect him to be, say, inside the top 6 or 7 for the majority of the Grand Prix. Because if you look at every race that it's been wet, ever since Carlos Sainz came into Formula 1, he's always been in the top 10, as long as, you know, he's still in the Grand Prix. So I think, you know, you can expect Carlos to be up there. And even though Lando Norris does have a penalty and starts P19, if you watched F2 last year, you will know that Lando Norris is very, very good in the wet. So I think Norris might not finish in the points, but he will definitely climb a lot of positions and get close to the points. But yeah, I think McLaren, even though their starting grid positions as a team is not great, I think because of the wet, because of the drivers they do have, they are in for definitely a good Grand Prix, especially with Carlos Sainz. Next up is Alfa Romeo. Alfa's qualifying yesterday was, I think, good. Kimi Raikkonen P5, Antonio Giovinazzi unlucky to get knocked out in P11. But Raikkonen P5, that drive for P5 yesterday, I know, you know, the two Ferraris had their issues and Raikkonen would have finished behind both of them, but to finish in that position and to be only 3/4 of a second off pole position is so unbelievably great. I cannot explain to you how great that was yesterday from Kimi Raikkonen. And now that it's wet, and because Kimi Raikkonen is so consistent and such a good driver still at, what, 39 years old, I wouldn't be that surprised if we do have a couple top runners ahead of Raikkonen retire. I wouldn't be surprised if Kimi Raikkonen got a podium, because in the dry, he's been very, very quick. And in the wet, because of his consistency, he's not too great pace-wise in the wet, but because, again, of his consistency, I really think Raikkonen could get a podium. I think he can, but he will need some luck to do that. But I don't think a podium is out of reach. I really don't think it is. So, you know, definitely look out for Kimi Raikkonen today. And I will be interested also to see how Antonio Giovinazzi does, because the last time he drove a Formula 1 car in the wet, it was the 2017 Chinese Grand Prix, where he crashed out, I believe, after 5 or so laps. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. But yeah, I do expect strong points finish today for the Alfa Romeo team. Next up, Haas. Haas, again, because it's raining, I think that will really, really help their chances today of a points finish. And Romain Grosjean in P6, I think, is, as long as he doesn't make an error, he is in a good position to finish somewhere in the top 10. But again, considering the way Romain is, I just don't see him going that long in the race without making a mistake. I just don't see it. So hopefully he proves me wrong, but I don't see him not making an error. I really don't, because he always tends to make some kind of error, that costs him a good result or a points finish. So I think Grosjean at some point will make an error. Kevin Magnussen is pretty good in the wet, actually, is Kevin Magnussen. I think Kevin was quite disappointed to finish P12, considering how quick he was on Saturday up until the final part of qualifying 2. But yeah, look out for Kevin more so than Roman, because I think Kevin is probably the better wet weather driver than Roman. But yeah, I think Haas's chances of a points finish definitely improve a lot, considering it's wet. I think if it was dry, I would say, no chance at all for Haas finishing in the points. But looking good. It is looking good and looking better, and that is a good thing for Haas F1. Next up, Toro Rosso. Now, this is a team that in midfield history, ever since really 2007, Toro Rosso have always gone well in the wet. No matter what drivers they have, no matter what regulations or engine they have always gone well in the wet. And I think today that won't be any different. I think Daniel Kvyat, for example, will be pretty good. Because he was, I think, in one of his best wet weather performances in the 2015 US Grand Prix. He was actually pretty good in that Grand Prix. And I think that is a slight omen that, Kvyat can do well in the wet, given a team or a car that is good in the wet. And I think that is the case for Toro Rosso. But, yeah, I think Toro Rosso are going to be a lot better today than they were in qualifying yesterday in the dry. But I will say, if it does dry up at any point, then I think Toro Rosso are probably going to finish quite a bit outside the points. But because it's wet, that really does increase their chances a lot of a points finish. And I wouldn't be that surprised if they did finish in the points. So hopefully it stays wet for Toro Rosso from their point of view, so they can get closer to a points finish. And the final midfield team is Racing Point, of course. Now, Racing Point yesterday clearly made progress, of course, finishing P8 with Sergio Perez in qualifying 3. Then Lance Stroll was knocked out in P15, which wasn't that good for him, but at least he got out of Q1 for once. But yeah, I think, that Racing Point car is definitely better than it was, a lot better than it was at Silverstone. It looks to me to be about half a second faster than it was at Silverstone. And because Perez and Stroll are both good wet weather drivers, and because the Racing Point car aerodynamically has clearly improved, I wouldn't be that surprised if Racing Point had a double points finish, or at least one car in the points. I wouldn't be that surprised. I really wouldn't. It will be tough against, Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Magnussen. It will be tough, but I think they can definitely get a points finish. I don't think it is out of reach. I don't think that because it's raining that suddenly they're going to drop back to where they were before this new upgrade came for them at this Grand Prix. So yeah, definitely look out for the Racing Point team, because their car is about half a second better than it was. And both drivers, of course, on race day are very quick, and in the wet are both very good. And last of all is Williams. Now, of course, normally I say they're going to be at the back, and I think most likely they will, but look out for George Russell in this Grand Prix, because whenever it rains in Formula 1, that is when you get to see how good the drivers really are in their respective cars. If Russell can beat a midfield runner in the wet, because it's wet, then I think that shows that he is a very, very good driver. I don't think Williams, by the way, are going to finish in the points, because I don't think the car is good enough to give Russell enough grip, to finish in the points. But if Russell does beat a couple midfield runners based on, pure pace or a good performance, then yeah, you should definitely look out for him, because again, the wet in Formula 1 always shows you who the better drivers are and separates the men from the boys. But with 35 minutes to go until this most likely wet Grand Prix at Hockenheim, let me know, guys, in the live chat, for the midfield, what do you think will happen? For the, Renault, do you think Renault can get in the points with both cars? For McLaren, do you think both drivers will do well? For Alpha, do you think Kimi can get a surprise podium? Do you think Haas will finish in the points? Do you think Toro Rosso can do what they normally do in the wet and have a great race? And for Racing Point and Williams, what can they do? Let me know in the live chat, and I'll read out your comments in just a moment for about 10 minutes or so. But again, I need to quickly clear my nose, and then I'll come to you guys in a moment. Right, so now let's see what you guys have to say. And by the way, I'm currently watching the Sky F1 coverage, and yeah, it is very, very wet because Robert Kubica, I believe, went off on his first lap out the pits. And Valtteri Bottas, seeing here, came down to the hairpin and probably locked up and went wide. But yeah, it's very, very wet. Very, very wet. So yeah, we are definitely in for a wet Grand Prix. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. Right, let's see what you guys have to say. Let me just check to see if we've got any super chats. Nope, not yet. Right. Michael Arvin. Williams already crashed. Depends what you classify a crash as. Will F1 says chance of safety car start. I don't think it's going to be a safety car start because I'm looking at the track right now and it's not that bad. It's not, impossible to drive in. And again, because we now have the halo, I don't see why they would start under a safety car because we have the halo. And of course, the driver safety is a lot better than it was before that. So I don't see why a safety car start would be required. And I hope that we don't get a safety car start because that is very, very boring. Right, let's look at some other comments here. James Riley, is there any chance of dry weather later on making for interesting strategy? By the looks of the radar that they showed on Sky F1 about half an hour ago, no. It looks as though it's going to be a fully wet Grand Prix. It might not be wet for the entire Grand Prix that they have to use only the wet compound of tyre. They might, at some point go on to, say, the intermediate tyre. But looking at the radar, it looks as though it's not going to be, at any point dry enough for dry tyres. So yeah, I think we are in for a fully wet Grand Prix. And that's a great thing, guys. It's a great thing. Yeah, if it, dries up later on, that could provide an opportunity for someone to come into the pits and, gain a load of time. But if it's fully wet for the whole race, I think that's enough excitement for us, honestly. And a good point, though, by Pedro Goldfinger is true. That if it does stop raining, the track will dry fast. That is true because the air temperature is actually still very warm. It's about 27, 28 degrees Celsius, I believe. So if it does stop raining, the track will definitely dry out. But again, there is rain coming down still at Hockenheim. So I still don't think we'll get, dry enough conditions for a dry part of the race. Maybe it'll be dry enough for intermediate tyres, but I don't see a dry enough, part of the race for, soft tyres, medium tyres, or hard tyres in this Grand Prix. Christian says Lewis will win. Super Vlogger Michael says if it's wet, about 6 to 8 retirements. Right, let's look for some other comments here. As I scroll up, Ross Santoro, come on Chazza, just say it straight. Grosjean is a crap driver. Well, yesterday he was pretty good, but yeah, I think this season he has been pretty crap. For sure. But we'll see today how we can do. Maybe he'll prove us wrong. Spider Monkey, is it full wet condition or into condition? It's full wet condition because on certain parts of the track there's just too much standing water. So for the moment it's a full wet tyre surely to start on, but you never know, there's half an hour to go until the race starts. It could dry out enough for inters. Still plenty of time left for an intermediate tyre to start on, but at the moment it's a wet tyre race for sure. Right, let's look at some other comments here. NN, seems to me Kimi improved since joining Alfa Romeo. Shackles have been lifted. I think Kimi's a lot happier at Alfa because the Ferrari atmosphere, it's just not a positive atmosphere to be in because there's a lot of pressure, and whenever Ferrari don't win, they always look for a scapegoat. They always look for someone to blame for their failures instead of just trying to improve on, you know, why they didn't win. They always look to scapegoat in Italy. I know I do blame a lot of people at Ferrari, but, you know, people in Italy, not the people, but, you know, the press, for example, they always look to scapegoat that one person. I'm afraid at Ferrari, the issues they've had for the last couple of years are not just one person. It's a lot more than one person. It's at least 3 or 4 people at Ferrari that are causing, you know, the issues to happen that are happening at the moment. So I think that's the reason why Kimi's happier, because whenever, you know, Ferrari would not have the greatest race they were hoping for, Kimi a lot of the time would get blamed and scapegoated. Especially by the now deceased, of course, ex-Ferrari president. Right, let's find a couple more comments and then we'll go on to the tyre situation, which is actually funny that I'm going to do this because it only shows the dry tyres, but I'll do it anyway. Quickly, you know, just to show you guys, if it is dry at some point, what tyres are remaining for the drivers. Super vlogger Michael, by the way, and no problem, who says, hey, hello, sorry I'm late. No problem, we still got another 25 minutes to go to the race, basically, so don't worry about that. Super vlogger Michael says, let me just find it. Ferrari are losing points because Inaki Rueda doesn't know how to get the strategy right, and when he does, it's a fluke. Well, I think the US Grand Prix from last year of Kimi Raikkonen winning proves that, yeah, whenever he does get it right, it's most likely a fluke, because I don't think his strategy in Kota last year was actually as good as people give him credit for. I think it was mostly a fluke, to be honest. Right, one final comment I'll read out, and then we'll get to the tyre situation. Twin Prime, Grosjean always falls off on the best of days, so expect him to bring out the safety car. Matthew Felton says Ricciardo midfield winner or Raikkonen. Yeah, definitely those two you can expect to be very good today, of course, in the wet, because they are probably still 2 of the best drivers from the midfield teams. So yeah. But now, let's get into the tyre situation. Now, of course, this only shows the dry tyres. Now, if at any point of the Grand Prix it does become dry, these are the sets of tyres they do have. So, Hamilton and Bottas, they don't really have any new soft tyres left, only the, medium and hard. By the way, Lewis Hamilton is out on track in intermediate tyres. So, a difference in opinion there for Lewis Hamilton. That's interesting to see, as there's a racing point there on, I think, Inters as well, falling off the track. Here's Ricciardo in the wet, falling off the track. So, yeah, very difficult conditions at the hairpin, especially. Charles Leclerc on Inters, going wide at the hairpin. Everyone going wide at the hairpin on their installation laps to the grid. But, yeah, so Hamilton and Bottas, if it does become dry, they have 1 new set of mediums and hards. Bottas doesn't have a new set of mediums, but two used set. The two Ferraris have plenty of soft tyres, so if it does become dry, they can just whack a load of soft tyres on and go for it. Same with Verstappen. Not so much Gasly. He only has one new set of medium and hard tyres. Ricciardo can go for soft tyres if it goes dry. Who else have we got? Obviously Magnussen. Norris, again, if it dries out, he could go for soft tyres. Stroll has soft tyres, and so does, of course, all the other drivers who finished outside the top 10 in qualifying. Now, when it comes to the wet tyres, the difference between the intermediate and wet is not that massive. So it will be interesting to see who goes for inters and who goes for wet tyres, because if you can, in the parts of the track where there is standing water, get away with inters, then the intermediate is the tyre to be on. But if you can't get away with it, then you're going to have to go on the wet tyre because there is more standing water. But if the drivers feel as though they can get away with running the inter, then not every driver, but I think most drivers will probably go for the inter if they feel as though, again, they can get away with it. But if we have, half the grid on inters and half on wet tyres, that is going to make it very, very interesting at the start to see, who has the best grip in the first few laps around this very wet track, racing wheel to wheel and stuff like that. So it is going to be very, very interesting in terms of who goes for inters, who goes for wets, and whether it pays off or not. Because, of course, if you go on the inters and it's just not ready for them, then you're going to end up losing way too much lap time and end up either losing the race win, if you're a Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, or losing a great result in the midfield. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see who goes for the inter, who goes for the wet. Hopefully, we get some difference of opinion from the drivers, so we can, see some even more interesting racing when it comes to strategy out there today. But let me see what you guys think about this when it comes to tyres. Pedro Goldfinger, Hamilton just tested inters and was sliding. That is true, but we've seen wet weather tyre drivers also struggling as well. Richard Reed says it is going to be a big gamble on tyres. It absolutely will, because it really depends again on on whether you can get away with it or not. Because even if, it does become dry enough for inters, there are still going to be parts of the track that are wetter than others, but you've got to be able to hang on to it and, still get through the corners without making errors if you do decide that you want to go on the inter, which, of course, if you can hang on with the inter, that is, of course, the faster tyre. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Sounding promising for an interesting race? Absolutely. We are going to get a very interesting race because it is still at Hockenheim, raining. And I think now, you know what? It's time. It's time to get on to my predictions for today's 2019 German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. In the live chat, guys, make sure to put yours in. And I'll read out as many as I can for the remaining, say, 12 to 13 minutes before the race gets underway at Hockenheim. Now, these predictions I went for, I did go for thinking it would be dry, but I still think that even though it's going to be wet, that it, applies still. So, yeah, this is what I'm going for. Winning the Grand Prix, in my opinion, will be Max Verstappen, because the Red Bull car, whether it's dry or wet, is always better on a race day than it is in qualifying. And I think Max Verstappen, because he has been driving so well this season, and especially as of late, I think he will go and get the race win. I think he will, say, within the first few laps, put a move on Lewis Hamilton. And I think will just about beat Hamilton to P1. Again, it will be very close between Verstappen and Hamilton. I think the gap separating them is going to be 2 to 3 seconds at most at the end of the Grand Prix. But I am going for Max Verstappen to win this German Grand Prix. If he does win, it'll be his first ever win at Hockenheim. And Red Bull are looking for their first ever victory at this track. They've never won here. The closest they got was 2016, where Daniel Ricciardo finished in P2. So, yeah, Red Bull are looking to add another historical moment to their glorious 14-year history as a team. In second, I'm going to go for Lewis Hamilton because I think Hamilton will just be bested today by Max Verstappen. But again, it will be, even if Hamilton wins or finishes second, it will be very close between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. But if he does win, it will be his 4th victory at Hockenheim. He won here in 2008, 2016, and of course last year in 2018. So today will be his 4th win if he gets it. And of course, the team are going for their 4th straight win at Hockenheim. The last team to win at Hockenheim and not be, Mercedes were Ferrari in 2012. So they're looking to once again win the race and continue their domination of the circuit. And finishing in third, in my opinion, will be Valtteri Bottas, because I think the car he is driving is good enough in the wet to, finish in P3. And also, Valtteri at times, when he wants to be, can be pretty good in the wet. So I think Valtteri will finish in third. He'll hold off Pierre Gasly and get a 3rd place finish. If he does, though, win the Grand Prix, it'll be his first ever win at Hockenheim. And also, the team are looking to get their second 1-2 in the race in Germany. Of course, last year they had it, and they're looking for it again this year. And for them at the home race, it'd be great if they got it once again. But so those are, guys, my predictions for this 2019 German Grand Prix. It's going to be very, very exciting. I could be very wrong, but we'll see very, very soon. But now, I'm going to bring in Nib to the stream, of course, for the race watch-along, and also get his thoughts right now as to what he thinks will happen today at Hockenheim. Nib, great to have you along. And what are you going for then in this what is going to be very interesting Grand Prix?
Yep, great to be along for this stream as per usual on a Sunday. And I'll get right into my predictions. Winning the race for me, you can't go past Lewis Hamilton. He is superb in the wet, much like Max Verstappen, who I will believe finish just behind Lewis Hamilton in P2. So that's Max Verstappen finishing in second. And in third place, I'm going for an absolute madness. I'm going for Lando Norris to finish third place. I don't know why. I just think he's very, very good in the wet. I think there's going to be a lot of chaos and there's going to be safety cars. And somehow Lando is going to finish third.
Wow, that's a very, very wild prediction. But as you said, you never know. It's the wet. Anything can happen in the wet. We could have any midfield driver really on the podium. So we'll see, of course, what happens in about 15 minutes' time. Also, I just want to ask you, before we come to the chat for their predictions, from the midfield, who do you expect to be, people to look out for in the wet?
Probably Lance Stroll. I know that he is actually very good in the wet. He got P2 in qualifying in Monza back in 2017, so he is very good in the wet. And of course, with the Lando Norris prediction in third, I'm not being entirely serious. I think it will probably be Leclerc finishing in third place. I think the Ferrari will have good enough pace to get up the grid. But yeah, I think Stroll. I don't think Daniel Ricciardo is that great in the wet. He's very solid in the wet, but not as good as he usually is. Carlos Sainz is good in the wet. We know that. Of course, Kimi. So there's those couple of drivers. Sainz, Kimi, and Stroll would be my 3 to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. But guys, with 15 minutes to go until this very exciting Grand Prix that's about to get underway, let me know in the live chat who you're going for the race win, P2, P3, P4, P5, and P6. By the way, for P4, P5, and P6, I'm going to go Gasly in P4, and then Leclerc and Vettel, because I think they'll all, get up the grid and be right there. So that's what I'm going for that. But let me know, guys, what you think will happen in the live chat. I'll read out as many as I can for the next 15 minutes. Also, just want to say, again, don't forget to subscribe for more watch-alongs like this, because we do watch-alongs for every weekend consistently for the 2019 season for Practice 2, qualifying and the Grand Prix on a Sunday. So don't forget to subscribe for that. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there, or go to my homepage, subscribe and hit the notifications button. Also smash the like button if you want to see this content continue. But now, I'll move on to this picture of Lewis Hamilton and we'll get to your predictions right now. By the way, great to see so many of you, 730 of you, already here ready for this Grand Prix. So let me find the first set of predictions and then we'll read them all out. So let me just find the first one. And the first one is from Ross Santoro, who says Hamilton to win, Bottas second, Verstappen third. Francis says Hamilton to win. What else have we got here? Paul Eli says Verstappen to win from Hamilton second, Ricciardo third. Who else have we got here? Mike Brown says Mercedes 1 and 2. And then Francis continues his predictions. So Hamilton, he said P1, and then Gasly P2, Bottas P3, Verstappen P4, then Sainz, Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Vettel, Leclerc, and Grosjean. Henry Mull says Sainz in third. Louis Trichard says Leclerc to win from Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Vettel, Kimi. Erudite says Hamilton to win from Bottas and Verstappen. Maka says Lewis to win from Max in second and Carlos Sainz in third. Donald Trump says Hamilton to win from Kimi second, Leclerc third. Henry Mull, Max, Lewis and Sainz. Mike Brown says Seb will finish in the top 8. Witsu Cube, I think it is, says Leclerc will win. Rise says Hamilton to win from Verstappen, Bottas, Gasly, Leclerc, Sainz, Vettel, Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, and Norris. Who else have we got here? Kill House says Red Bull 1-2. Jungle Brother, great to see you, mate. Says Lewis to win from Ricciardo and Leclerc. Rick says Hamilton to win from Verstappen and Perez. Definitely watch out for Perez because, Malaysia 2012, great drive. Monaco 2016, great drive. And also, I think Brazil in 2016, he was P4. So, look out for Perez. Very, very good wet weather driver is Checo. And who else have we got? So, Gina, Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Gasly, Leclerc, Raikkonen, Vettel. Aaron Chin, Verstappen to win from Hamilton and Gasly. Count Blast says Lewis for the wet win. No brainer. Let me just quickly move on to a different picture. There you go. Off the Ferrari. And who else have we got? Pedro Goldfinger, Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc. Michael Arvin says Ferrari will not finish this race. By the way, Gross H, yes, it is raining. Hill House says Leclerc to win from Vettel second, Max third because safety car question mark. We'll have to see. And who else have we got? Astro Stevo. Hold on, just missed that one. Let me scroll back up if I can to find it. Astro Stevo says Hamilton to win from Verstappen second, Bottas third, Danny Rick fourth, Carlos Sainz fifth, and Kimi in P6. What have we got here? Michael Arvin, Kimi to win from Bottas, Gasly, Ricciardo. And we've got Rukudzo, I think it is, says Hamilton to win from Leclerc and Verstappen. TJ says Verstappen to take out Hamilton. Williams 1-2. Verstappen, Lewis, Vettel I just saw there. Azim says Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen, Vettel, Bottas. Aditya says Vettel, Leclerc, Perez, Raikkonen, Sainz. Who else have we got? Eric Flame, Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc, Bottas, Raikkonen, Gasly, he says. Nikita says Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton. And Lucas says Verstappen. Prosecutor says Verstappen, Bottas, Leclerc, Hamilton, Gasly, Grosjean, Raikkonen, Vettel, Sainz and Ricciardo. Harith Zach says Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, Leclerc, Norris, Gasly, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Sainz and Giovinazzi. And who else have we got? With so many predictions here. Luca continues with theirs. Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, Gasly, Leclerc, Vettel, Raikkonen, Sainz, Norris, Grosjean. And who else have we got here? Let me see if I can keep reading these out. Jin Bin Oz. Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas. The King says Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc. Crystal Racing says Kimi, Leclerc, Vettel. And who else have we got? David Marshall, Hamilton, Bottas, Leclerc. I'm Trapo, Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. Jacob Smith, Verstappen, Hamilton, Gasly. And I think that is all of them so far. So I'll move on to a different picture. They're the Red Bull, and I'll get my Twitter pictures up in a moment. And I need to let you guys know, before the watch along gets underway, what we do here. So, of course, we do not show live TV coverage of the race because that would be obvious copyright infringement, and the channel would be took down in seconds. So that's not what we do. So what I do instead is show pictures of what is happening. I'll have a running order running along the bottom of the screen. In the top left, once the timer finishes, I will either have formation lap has started when it has started, or race has started when it has started. And then, yeah, running order running on the bottom of the screen. I'll make sure to change it as much as I can as the race goes on. It won't be always, oh, for God's sake. Formation laps will commence on time at 15:10 local time behind the safety car. That is absolute BS. The formation laps, okay. So it's not going to be the race laps, I assume.
We don't know yet.
Well, to me, that sounds like it might be the race laps. Sorry, by the way, I had Nib muted there. I didn't think you were gonna speak out. Then I'll make sure to unmute now. But what was I saying? But yeah, I'll running order running on the bottom of the screen. I'll make sure to change it as much as I can. And me and Nib will provide basically a radio commentary of what is going on. Now, we won't have a lap counter on the screen, but as long as you listen to us, we will make sure to read out, say, at most every 2 to 3 laps, what lap we are working on and what the order is in certain parts of the grid. And also, if you're watching, you'll be able to see the running order running along the bottom of the screen. And also, very importantly, with, watching along and being synced up, because of the device I watch Formula 1 on, I do have quite a bit of a delay. So if you do want to watch the race and also watch it along with us, to get our live reactions, then once the formation lap officially starts, like literally as soon as it starts, make sure to pause your feed of the race for about 45 seconds to a minute. And then once I say, and I'll make sure to say it so Nib, for example, can sync up with me. Once I say formation lap is go, then you can press play and we'll be synced up. But if you don't want to sync up, that's fine. But if you're not watching the race but only can listen to us to know what is happening in the race, then obviously that is not an issue. But just to let you guys know, that is the situation. But I'll now start getting some pictures ready. And Nib, what tyres do you think they're going to start on, inters or wets?
They're going to 100% start on full wets. You've seen before when even the drivers were on inters, and even Ricardo, I think it was, on the full wets, they were just going straight on a bit. Whilst you were speaking just before, they were Sky were interviewing Zach Brown, and he said that this rain is going to stay for about the next hour and a half. So throughout the whole entire race, it should be raining quite consistently, just as it is right now.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we are going to get a wet Grand Prix. It's pretty much confirmed at this point. And the radar earlier that Sky F1 showed basically confirms it. And what I'm going to try and do is find a picture of one of the cars coming to the grid on the wet tyres for you guys, just to show you that it is wet and we're not, making stuff up. And let me get a picture on screen of Valtteri Bottas. But yeah, it is likely to be wet tyres because I think it's too wet, especially on that straight going down to turn number 6. It's too wet for a set of inters. So I think that's what we're going to get. And let me just try quickly and get this picture up as we're about, 4 minutes away from the formation lap getting underway here at Hockenheim.
So they're going to make a decision whether or not they start behind the safety car during the formation lap.
Well, that's going to be a very quick decision. But I think they should leave it. I think it's again, it's good enough to start the Grand Prix. But here you go. It is Valtteri Bottas, and this was him when he came out the pit lane earlier on the wet tyres. As you can see on the exit, the pit lane is very, very wet. So yeah, we are now getting into the F1 intro phase, or at least on my TV screen. But again, we'll sync up in a few moments' time. And for the just to mention the temperatures, so yeah, it's raining, but it is 25 or 26 degrees Celsius track temperature, and the air temperature has gone down to 21. So yeah, definitely cold enough for rain. By the way, great to have 1,000 of you watching now. That's absolutely fantastic, and yeah, hopefully you're going to enjoy the race with us. And it is going to be basically just me and Nib screaming for an hour and a half straight, most likely, because whenever it rains in Formula 1, normally we get a great race. I can't remember a boring wet race. So yeah, I think we are in for a great Grand Prix today at Hockenheim, as they are now just showing the track. And yeah, the straight going down to the turn 6 hairpin, I believe, is where most of the standing water is. And that is what is causing the drivers to be on the wet tyres, if that is what they are going to start on. Let me see. I can read out a couple final comments. By the way, thank you, Astro Stevo, who says, great channel, Chazza and Niv. Thanks in advance. Mr. Claus, I agree. Wet races are always fun. Absolutely. Because the driver becomes the important factor. That's why. Dexter Hall says, yes, here in time. Absolutely. You're right, here on time. By the way, thank you for that super chat, Jungle Brother. For $2, who says Lewis has won the last 5 wet races. And I think that is absolutely correct. So, yeah, that should be, well, it is a good omen for Lewis Hamilton. As now, they start to show the starting grid, and I might as well get up my running order. So, the grid is Hamilton, Verstappen, then Bottas, Gasly, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Sainz, Perez, Hülkenberg, Leclerc. That's the top 10. And then in P11 down to P20, it's Antonio Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo, Daniel Kvyat. 15th is Lance Stroll, and then in 16th is Alexander Albon, 17th Russell, 18th Kubica, 19th Norris, because of some changes to the power unit, and Vettel is at the back. So that is your grid for this German Grand Prix, this wet German Grand Prix. And now I'll get rid of the timer, and I'll make sure in a moment to change the text. And yeah, it still looks very wet to me at Hockenheim. And yeah, I'll do the text now. The formation lap has not officially started, but I'm just putting it here as the formation lap is literally about to start. Again, if you want to sync up with me and us, I will say formation lap is go when it does actually start, and then you can, press play again, and then be synced up with us. So the formation lap is not officially started, but it will so very, very soon. I am very interested though to see what tyres people are on. As we're seeing on the TV there for me, Max Verstappen. And then we're seeing on my TV Lewis Hamilton. I wonder what tyres Lewis Hamilton is going to go for.
I think everyone will be on the wets.
Be very interesting if someone decides to go on Inters. And FIA race control, again, formation laps will commence on time at 2:10 UK time, 3:10 CET local time behind the safety car. So we'll see what happens. But the formation lap is about to get underway, and yeah, it looks like wet tyres. Yeah, wet tyres for everyone. And now the formation lap will be getting underway in just a moment, as we're on the TV seeing an onboard of Sebastian Vettel's face. And formation lap in a moment is going to be underway. And the formation lap is now go. So, Nib, are you synced up now?
I pressed play and it went 30 minutes backwards.
Oh.
So no.
Oh, that's a disaster then. So I'll say when they come round to the last corner, and then you can sync up again. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the formation lap is now go, and the safety car is now taking them around this wet Hockenheim track, as they now on the formation lap come round to turn. The turn is called turn 5 this straight because it is a turn technically, but it is basically the biggest straight on the circuit. And now they come down to turn 6, and to me the track conditions look fine for me. As Verstappen comes to the hairpin, yeah, the track conditions, there are, you know, areas of the circuit where it does look a bit difficult, but most of it to me looks absolutely fine. So I don't see why we can't be starting this race normally, to be honest. As they now come through turn 8, past the Mercedes-Benz grandstand, and they're all going to be, of course, cheering on the two drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, as now they come into the stadium section of the circuit. I'll quickly get a picture on the screen of Lewis Hamilton, if I can, as now they come into the stadium where all the Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel and also Mercedes fans are.
Let me know when they go through turn 1, because they didn't show actually through the last corner.
Okay. So let me just quickly get this on screen. This picture of Lewis Hamilton, and I assume they're going to continue going around behind the safety car. And yes, they are. So formation lap continues. This is not, I believe, though, part of the actual racing laps, as the safety car now turns into turn 1, and now Lewis Hamilton turns into turn 1. Are you synced up, Nib?
Yep.
Right, all good. So we are now synced up. Again, formation lap is still underway because they are trying to, you know, find out when the conditions are good enough. But one thing I will say is that at least, and this is good, that that they're not counting this as racing laps. I do like that. So that's a good thing that they've done. As the safety car now takes them on the straight towards the turn 6 hairpin. Again, all drivers on the wet tyres. No one is brave enough, of course, to go on Inters. And to me, again, the track, it's wet. It is quite wet, but I think it is fine, to be honest. It's going to be wet anyway, and apparently there is more rain coming. So they're not going to get any better than this, most likely. So if I was them, I'd get racing, to be honest. As safety car takes them down into the turn 8 hairpin. Or not hairpin, turn 8 corner.
As Kevin Magnussen just came across the radio and said, "Come on, let's go."
They absolutely should. Again, it's not great conditions for racing, but it's going to be wet. It's not going to be wet. This is probably the best it's going to be. So they might as well just get on with it, honestly. By the way, great to have 1,500 of you watching live. And now I'll quickly post a picture of when the drivers set off on the formation lap behind the safety car. Let me get that up. But yeah, the formation lap is still underway. Once the race actually gets underway for proper, then I will of course change the top left to race has started. But again, the safety car comes around and they're going to do another lap behind the safety car. But again, this doesn't, I believe, count as laps during the race. I believe this is only formation laps, so this won't count towards the race. This is only the formation laps they're doing. As, yeah, they're coming down to turn 3 again. Nib, what do you think of the conditions? Are they good enough to race?
Get us underway.
Absolutely. That's what I want. I just want to get underway. I don't want us to be behind the safety car for way too long. It's not as bad as they're making out. And again, they have the halo now, so the safety of the cars is much improved compared to when they were doing safety car starts in 2016 under wet weather conditions where there was no halo. So I don't understand why they're still taking the same precaution when the cars are a lot safer, and I think all the drivers are in agreement that, well, the track is good enough to race on. It really is.
Yeah,
especially go on.
Verstappen and Hamilton have come over the radio and said, "Come on, let's get this started."
Yeah, for example, on the exit of the turn 6 hairpin, it looks almost dry at times on the circuit. So it's not that bad. I don't understand why we are under a safety car. Hopefully the safety car comes into the pit lane in a moment as we come through the 9 and 10 chicane and come up to the middle sector point. And now come into the stadium. If the safety car was coming in, I think they would have said by now, to be honest.
Yeah, they're doing another lap.
I don't get why they do this. Like, it's going to be wet. It's going to be wet anyway. You can't just keep touring round and hope it dries out. Just get on with it. It's a wet race. As, yeah, all the cars are coming round. No one, by the way, is struggling or falling off the track because, of course, they're going so slow at the moment. And also, they're not really going to know if the track is good enough because they're going at such a slow speed that the tyres are not going to... they're not going to get enough temperature to really find out how much grip there is. So, I really don't get why we are still under a safety car. But again, the race has not officially started, so we should get 67 racing laps of this Grand Prix. As all the cars coming through turn 1. The racing point of Stroll, Albon, Russell, Kubica, Vettel. You can see on the TV at the very, very back. Race control. Safety car will enter pit, standing start. So, at the end of this lap, end of this last formation lap, yep, absolutely, end of this last formation lap, we will get a standing start at Hockenheim. So, guys, get ready for what is going to be a very, very exciting first, well, the entire race, but definitely the first lap, because, of course, crashes can absolutely happen on a first lap of a wet Grand Prix, especially around a circuit that in the dry is hard enough. As now the drivers, as the safety car is now trying to get away from the drivers and get into the pit lane. As Hamilton now comes into turn 8 and now through turn 9 and turn 10. And now is about to enter the stadium. So the race will start in just a moment. As now Hamilton turns in. So does Verstappen, Bottas, Gasly, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Sainz. Then, of course, Perez, Hülkenberg, Leclerc, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Kvyat, Stroll, Albon, Russell, Kubica, Norris and Vettel. That is the grid for this 2019 German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. As they now come into, and the safety car enters the pits, now the cars come to the final corner. So now I'll get the text ready in the top left. The race is not officially started, but it will be in just a moment. As now Lewis Hamilton gets warming up those tyres and will now come on to pole position. So does Max Verstappen in his grid slot, and then Bottas and Gasly and the rest of the field now get on there. And I can tell you, the teams, they're so nervous because days like this where it's uncertain, it can make or break a season or a career. So teams and drivers are very nervous for these types of conditions. And now Sebastian Vettel lines up in the last grid slot, and now we are ready for the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. It's 5 lights at Hockenheim. Lights out and away we go. Verstappen gets wheel spin in P2 and Hamilton is in P1. And Verstappen's going absolutely nowhere. And it's Hamilton leading from Bottas second. And then, oh no, a Mercedes has gone off there. I think of Valtteri Bottas. And it's Kimi Raikkonen in P3. And Verstappen now goes up the inside of someone. Oh no, it's a Haas. And, Alpha off. Sainz is going wide. It's Giovinazzi, but it's now Hamilton leading on to the longest straight, going down to turn 6. It's him leading from Bottas, and in P3 is Kimi Raikkonen. As a McLaren there of Carlos Sainz is going to try and go down the outside, and there's a Renault up the inside there.
Hülkenberg,
but Sainz is going to go try right around the outside. Contact between Grosjean and Hülkenberg, and it forces Sainz off. Leclerc's in there as well, but Hamilton now into turn 8, and then it is Hülkenberg 5th, Leclerc is 6th, Gasly had an awful start, and he's passed Grosjean, but it's gone off, so Gasly off the circuit, and that lets Grosjean back through, and Sainz goes right round the outside. I think there's a racing point in there, can't quite see to be honest, but, and then yeah, Gasly goes past Carlos Sainz, Magnussen is in there. Vettel has already got to 14th on the first lap. And by the way, they have actually took 3 laps off the race distance, so that did count. But Lewis Hamilton at the end of lap 1 leads the pack away from Valtteri Bottas in second. Kimi Raikkonen is in third with Max Verstappen in fourth. Not exact, well, now we're starting to pressurise him. As we got plenty of cars on the pit straight, ducking and diving.
Oh, Grosjean!
What a move by Grosjean. That forces, I wouldn't say force Sainz off, but what a move. And Sainz keeps his position by going off the circuit, and a racing point passes. That was Magnussen who went down the inside. And that's Giovinazzi and Ricciardo racing, and Ricciardo not going to go down the inside at turn 4. But Ricciardo, and now look, we've got Perez all over the back of, and that's Verstappen on the inside of Raikkonen, and Max Verstappen, has he got the position? I think, yes, he has. So Max Verstappen is now up to 3rd on lap 2. Kimi Raikkonen goes down to P4. Hülkenberg is up to 5th. And Vettel is now past Ricciardo. So Sebastian Vettel is absolutely motoring through this field. But Hülkenberg is 5th. Here is Vettel on board. He's behind the Alpha of Antonio Giovinazzi. But Nib, what a start for Vettel in this Grand Prix.
Oh, as what? Force India. Perez has gone spinning around.
Yeah, Perez has. He's all the way on. He's out. Perez, he's out. His rear wing is damaged. Sergio Perez is out of the Grand Prix. And that might be a safety car. But Lewis Hamilton is now 3.4 seconds clear in the lead on now lap 3 out of 64.
Safety car.
Yep, safety car is out. And that's great because I cannot for the life of me do this order. But So Hamilton is leading. Safety car out on lap 3. So Hamilton leading from Bottas, Verstappen, Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Leclerc as Vettel comes into the
Vettel
pits.
in the pits. I
Leclerc,
assume for Inters.
yeah, most likely. Leclerc 6th, then Grosjean. Gasly is down in 8th. Yep, intermediates going on. Carlos Sainz is in P9. That's such a shame for Perez because he was looking good. Magnussen is P10. Giovinazzi P11. And now Vettel has only lost 2 positions there. Oh no, he's lost a lot of positions. But Giovinazzi is 11th. Daniel Ricciardo is in P12. Lance Stroll's done well to get a couple positions. Kvyat is 14th. Norris has done well as well. He's up to 15th. And then you got Russell in 16th. As Mercedes now come out, I believe, for intermediate tyres as well. Yeah, Russell 16th, Kubica is 17th, and then it is Vettel 18th, Albon 19th, and Perez is 20th because he's out of the Grand Prix. But we are now under a safety car, and Lewis Hamilton, of course, will be the first one to box. And here's what happens. So he comes through turn 8, there's a pass of Magnussen ahead, and he's losing the rear end so much, goes through turn 10, and just simply loses the rear end. And then tries to reverse his car to get going again, and then hits the wall. So that's obviously a complete driver error. So that's a shame. Sergio Perez is out of the Grand Prix, but we are now under a safety car. What do you think
Hamilton
of that?
in the pits.
Yeah, he is. What do you think of that crash there by Perez, Nib?
Yeah, just a bit too eager on the throttle as we see a very, very busy pit lane. I assume that Valtteri Bottas is going to pit a double stack for Mercedes indeed. Yes, everyone is going to pit here, and Sebastian Vettel could gain quite a lot more positions from this, which would be good for him, but Hamilton's going to... Bottas held up there. But yeah, just a bit too eager on the throttle, and sent him into the walls. That was Leclerc and Grosjean's having to go stationary in the pit lane because he can't go into his pit box.
Absolutely. And so we haven't had... Magnussen has stayed out, so has Lance Stroll, so they're going to stay out. Hülkenberg, by the way, has lost position. So has Kimi Raikkonen. That's because the other drivers have not pitted. But yeah, Raikkonen has lost position to Leclerc and Hülkenberg through that as well. So I've got to redo the running order now. So it's Hamilton leading from Kevin Magnussen in second, and Nib, I'll let you take us through the start.
Yes, well, there you go. You see the non-start of the Red Bulls, they go absolutely nowhere, as that gives Kimi Raikkonen up into P3. Magnussen, Leclerc, very good move there on Gasly. That was in the background there. As we're going on board now with Romain Grosjean from well, that's certainly not P15, that's where he is at the moment, but he just absolutely flown past the Red Bulls. Has got race control safety car in this lap. But yeah, very good start there for the Haas. And here we go. Oh my days. Max Verstappen, what an awful start that was. He bogged down like, I don't know, a wet wheat bix in milk. I don't know. He bogged down. He went absolutely nowhere. There's Christian Horner's reaction. He got rid of Mark Webber, and now Verstappen has had 2 Mark Webber starts in the last couple of races. We've got Grosjean. Oh,
that's an unsafe release.
That's an unsafe release. Slam dunk penalty that for Charles Leclerc. Oh dear. Ferrari. I seen Grosjean come to almost a standstill, and that was why. As here we go, we're back underway as Hamilton nearly loses the rear end with Kevin Magnussen P2.
Absolutely, and now they get underway, and they're going to start now, lap 5, out of 64, and it's Hamilton leading from Magnussen in second. Magnussen is not pitted. Bottas third, Verstappen fourth, then Stroll, Leclerc, Hülkenberg, Norris, Russell, Kubica, Raikkonen, Vettel, Sainz, Albon, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Gasly 18th, and Kvyat 19th. There's Bottas down the inside of Magnussen, and he gets it done. Charles Leclerc down the inside of Stroll. Magnussen, though, holds Bottas off. Does he? No, he doesn't. Bottas just drives straight round the outside. Verstappen now gets in the slipstream of Kevin Magnussen and goes down the inside, and he will get this move comfortably done down to the hairpin. He has to make sure he doesn't outbrake himself and hit Bottas. He doesn't. He gets the move done nicely. So there you go. So positions changing all the time. Bottas back up to second. Verstappen now third. Magnussen is fourth in the Haas. And now Charles Leclerc will very, very soon be on the back of that Haas, and he is in the Ferrari. But I think Charles Leclerc will be getting a penalty very soon. Leclerc is now fifth because Stroll is falling back. Hülkenberg is up to sixth. Great race for him. And Leclerc tried to go down the inside of the stadium, entry to the stadium, but he couldn't do it, as Stroll is P7, and then it is Norris 8th. Raikkonen has got back up to 9th. He hasn't had a good pit stop phase, I have to say, as Leclerc down the inside of Magnussen. No, none of that corner, as they now come into the final corner. Hamilton immediately does the fastest lap. No, beaten by Bottas, as now Raikkonen passes Norris, and Leclerc down the inside of Magnussen at turn 1. No, Magnussen holds it on. Magnussen is driving very, very well, but Leclerc now goes past him, and Hülkenberg will very soon as well.
If you can stop it, yeah.
No, he can't. Leclerc's off, but he might still stay on. He does, because the Haas has no grip.
Hülkenberg here.
Yeah, Hülkenberg now cuts to the inside, and Hülkenberg will now get in the slipstream with Charles Leclerc. Can Hülkenberg make a move on Leclerc down the hairpin? Let's see. Hülkenberg pulls to the outside, and no, I don't think he can, and he's going to try the very wide line and cut back, and he does get a super run out of the hairpin, and now will come down to turn 8, but I don't think he's close enough. No, he's not.
Then the Ferrari engine kicked in.
Absolutely. So Leclerc up to 4th, and then Hülkenberg is 5th. No, go on.
What's happened to Pierre Gasly? He's down in 19th place now.
I think he got held up massively in the pits.
As now we see, is this Vettel? I assume this is a replay. Oh, that's very close there.
Absolutely, that's him and Robert Kubica. And here's Raikkonen passing Norris. Norris is not pitted yet. He's on the wet tyres still, is Lando. So Raikkonen is up to 8th. Here's another move. What's this? Oh, that's why Gasly's down. He locked up and lost about 5 positions. So he's now at the back of everyone who is
Vettel's
still
up
running.
In P8.
He is. Vettel P8, Raikkonen P7. As Norris tries to get past... Oh no, Sainz tries to get past Stroll, as Lando Norris has pitted from what was it, P8. But Raikkonen is now all over the back of Magnussen, and Raikkonen is surely going to comfortably pass Magnussen into the hairpin. And Raikkonen now going past, and surely will break right round the outside. So Raikkonen now up to 6th. Will Magnussen try back? No, he will not. Raikkonen has gone deep and loses the position to Magnussen. So I too early there, put Magnussen down to 7th. The order is changing around all the time.
Sebastian Vettel is right there. He's going to be up into P6 very shortly. It's Sebastian Vettel. What a start from 20th. He's already in 8th. It's only lap 7.
Absolutely. He's in 8th and he's right on the prowl. Sainz is up to 9th. Lance Stroll is 10th. Albon is 11th. I think Albon, though, also has not pitted for intermediate.
No, Albon did pit. Albon did pit. He pitted with Vettel.
That's. Oh, yes, he did. That's very good for him. As Raikkonen tries to pass Magnussen. By the way, we're on lap 8. Lewis Hamilton still leading. He's done a new fastest lap of 1:30 flat. Albon is 11th. Antonio Giovinazzi is 12th, as Magnussen holding up Raikkonen a lot as they come onto the pit straight. Will Vettel get a good enough run to go down the inside at turn 1? I think he will. Vettel, does he? No, he doesn't. And Raikkonen now gets a super run on Magnussen and now gets past down the inside. One moment he was going to be overtook. Now he is the overtaker. He's down the inside at 3, and now Vettel will surely pass Magnussen at the hairpin due to the lack of grip that the Haas has, as Lance Stroll has now pitted. And yeah, Vettel in the slipstream, and he should now just cruise past, and he should get the move done if he doesn't make a mistake. And yes, he doesn't. Under investigation, Leclerc and Grosjean, and I think Leclerc will get a penalty for that, for an unsafe release. Not Leclerc's fault, it's the team's fault. Grosjean is down in 12th, as Sainz has passed Magnussen as well. I'll update that all in just a moment. Kvyat's 14th. Gasly is 15th. Norris is 16th. And then 17th is Lance Stroll. And then 18th and 19th is Russell and Kubica. Of course, Perez, the only retirement. And let me update, Raikkonen now ahead of Magnussen. And then Vettel is P7. Lewis Hamilton is another new fastest lap at 29.6. As he's 2.8 clear of Bottas on our lap 9 out of 64. Raikkonen is 6th. Vettel, so look at Raikkonen now pulling away from Vettel. As, Vettel is 8th. And then it is Carlos Sainz in 9th as Kevin Magnussen has now pitted.
It must be said, the track is now starting to get very dry in some areas, and as we've seen just before there with the shot of Vettel, Sainz and Raikkonen all heading off of the racing line to try and keep those inters nice and cool, because of course, look at here on the back straight, it's completely bone dry, but in then other areas in the braking zone there, a little bit of spray kicking up. So some parts of the track are starting to get a bit of a dry line, and then other parts are completely wet.
Absolutely. It is starting to dry out quite a bit, but there are other parts of the track where it is still quite wet. So Magnussen, after his pit stop, that promotes a lot of people up. Gasly's up to 14th. Norris is 15th, and that's Ricciardo just ahead of Kvyat and Gasly on the TV. Norris is 15th, and then it is Magnussen, Russell, Kubica. So finally, I have a fully updated running order for you guys. And now I'll try and find another new picture as Lewis Hamilton on lap 10 does another new fastest lap, a 1:29.0. So he is flying, 3.2 clear of Valtteri Bottas, as you can see on my screen. And Verstappen not really catching Bottas. Leclerc has really not, he's really not gaining at all on the front three. But I will say Kimi Raikkonen is actually pulling away from Sebastian Vettel. He's quicker, which is a bit of a surprise, to be honest. Here is another new picture. This is when Leclerc and Hülkenberg made their way past Magnussen, who was on the wet compound of tyre. And now I can breathe a slight, very slight sigh of relief because I have an updated running order. Now I can actually start enjoying this Grand Prix. So, lap 10, Hamilton leading, Bottas second, Verstappen third, Leclerc fourth, but Leclerc is likely to get a penalty. Fifth, Hülkenberg, then it is sixth, and Raikkonen, seventh, Vettel. 8th, Sainz, 9th, Albon, 10th, Giovinazzi, then Grosjean, Ricciardo, Kvyat, Gasly. Gasly having a look there at the back of Kvyat. And then Norris 15th, Magnussen 16th, and then Stroll, Russell, Kubica at the back. And Sergio Perez is your only retirement, as it is really drying out, isn't it? I didn't notice this. It is really, really dry.
Yes. But there's going to be rain arriving in about 10 minutes, I think I heard.
Well, if that is absolutely the case, then they can't come in for dries if it's not going to give them anything, if it does dry out enough. But one thing it will give the drivers is bad tyre wear. If it's quite a dry track and they can't find enough water to keep the tyres cool. As Gasly now and Kvyat come through the penultimate corner. And Gasly not really putting Kvyat under pressure, running wide there in the final corner. And yeah, Gasly not exactly pressurising Kvyat, nor is Kvyat pressurising Daniel Ricciardo here. And I'm just looking at the order, and yeah, nothing is really any different right now. No one's really close to each other right now. The closest gap is Ricciardo, Kvyat, Gasly battling for P12 right now. As Gasly,
there's some reports coming from journalists now in the pit lane that the rain is starting to come down a lot heavier now. So expect to see in the next couple of laps the conditions start to get worse once more.
Well, if that is the case, then yeah, we are probably, if it is really heavy, then the wet tyres will have to go back on, and they're on the TV. It says drops at times, but that weather radar doesn't look very nice. as Ricciardo, Kvyat, Gasly come down into turn 8. No one able to make a move. By the way, we're on lap 12 out of 64. Hamilton leading by 3.4 from Valtteri Bottas. Verstappen 4.8 off Hamilton. And here's a replay of Charles Leclerc making a slight error at the penultimate corner. That's not a massive error, but that will cost him probably half a second to a second. Simply just went too wide and went over the curb, which of course in the wet you cannot get on the curb. Great save. You cannot get on the curb or the white lines, or else you will fall off the circuit. So Leclerc still P4, but again he has that penalty looming large over him.
He's used to making good saves around this track. Of course, last year he went spinning around at turn 1.
Absolutely. Did a full, I think, 360 that time. And Verstappen looks a bit closer to Bottas than he was before. Probably by about half a second. As Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen are now coming into the final 2 corners. And I will say these 3 are really in a league of their own, because Charles Leclerc is 4th and 13.5 seconds off the lead after 13 laps. And P6 Kimi Raikkonen is half a minute down on the leader. So they are really quite far ahead, these 3. And definitely in a league of their own. Charles Leclerc continues to fall back, and so do the rest of the drivers. And even the 2 Williamses aren't that far away from being lapped. That's how quick these top 3 are. As we're now on lap 13, Hamilton leading from Bottas. And Verstappen in 3rd. And we can't really at the moment see any more rain falling for the moment. And let me quickly put on the screen that save by Charles Leclerc. As now Hamilton comes through 7 down into turn 8 and is just gradually pulling away, not destroying his tyres, but being clearly the fastest out there. That's Bottas, then Verstappen. Verstappen is not really gaining at the moment. He's about 2 seconds behind Valtteri, and yeah, just not really gaining any time. Here is that save by Charles Leclerc, and again we cut back to Gasly and Kvyat. And Gasly is not that... Well, he is actually quite close. He's only 3/10 behind. Will he go for the move down the inside? No, he's not confident enough to throw it down the inside. And that is just helping Lando Norris close in, making it a 4-way fight for 12th. Here's another replay of Charles Leclerc. And what is that? Is that a tyre issue?
I think that might be some...
I don't know what.
No
Diffuser
idea.
damage, possibly. Yeah, some diffuser or floor damage, something like that. That's very, very weird. As Kvyat and Gasly now come into the stadium, and what Gasly needs is just a great run onto that straight going down to the hairpin, and I think Kvyat will get overtaken by Gasly if that does happen. As go on.
Very quickly. Yep, race control here. Leclerc, there is a team fine being imposed on Ferrari. Leclerc has not got a penalty for the pit lane incident involving Leclerc and Grosjean.
That is wrong. That should be a penalty, because that is a slam dunk unsafe release. I don't understand why that's a team fine, but there you go. At least it doesn't ruin the race, but anyway, there you go. As Gasly closes up a lot on Kvyat in the braking zone of 3, now into 4, where traction is very, very, very important. As they now come onto the straight, heading towards the hairpin. And Gasly will get a good slipstream going to the hairpin, but will he be... Oh! That's... Oh, Ricciardo's engine is completely...
No!
It's completely blown up. Ricciardo is out of this race. There's no way he's going to continue with that. That's an old school engine blow up for Ricciardo. And Gasly, at the same time, uses that smoke to pass Kvyat. As Kvyat tries to come back, and Ricciardo is trying to continue, but he knows that his race is over. Another disaster for Renault. What an embarrassment that is. Yellow flag now in Sector 2. That is, of course, for Ricciardo, but now Gasly. And there you go, Ricciardo parked up 2 years in a row. His car fails him, and he is out of the German Grand Prix. There you go. And yeah, Nib, of course you are very disappointed, but how embarrassing to have such a massive blow up in a race where it's not exactly being stressed that hard, of course, in the wet. As, yeah, just an absolutely massive blow up. But yeah, Gasly up to P12, Kvyat P13, and then you've got Norris into 14th, and then Magnussen, Stroll, Russell and Kubica. Virtual safety car has been deployed, by the way. Will anyone pit? Don't think so, but you never know. Someone might go for a pit stop to try and get some even fresher intermediate tyres. As, yeah, so Ricciardo now into 19th place. You want to say anything, Niv?
Just when it looks like reliability issues, as we've got Ferrari in the pit lane with more intermediate tyres. I wonder who that is for. But oh dear, just as it looked like Daniel Rick had got rid of his reliability issues, I think I just heard Crofty, we've got Leclerc coming in for a brand new set of intermediate tyres. Just as we thought it was getting a good run together, Crofty said I think it was if he'd finished this race, it'd be 7 races where he get finished, which would have been his longest streak since like the start of 2016. And now that is over. So as now the virtual safety car period is ending, and we also have Nico Hülkenberg in the pit lane.
We do, and Leclerc and Hülkenberg, because of that, and well, for Leclerc at least, fresh enters and comes out in P4. That's exactly what a virtual safety car should be used for by the teams, to try and get fresher tyres. But Hülkenberg has been passed by Kimi Räikkönen because he pitted. But here is on the screen, not a good sight, but there you go. Ricardo, that's not spray, that is clear engine smoke. So yeah, Leclerc is still P4, but that promotes Kimi Räikkönen up to P5. Be interesting to see if Leclerc now can pump in some quick laps. As Hamilton lapping a Williams.
Go straight into the Williams. Sorry, I thought the Williams was going to go straight into Hamilton then.
Yeah, that looked a bit dangerous, but they got through only just. And here's a replay of the Ferrari coming into the pits and putting on fresh inters, and that was a great strategy decision. Yeah, when do you hear me saying that about Ferrari? Front right was a bit slow. And then here's Hülkenberg. He just put it the right side of the bollard and came into the pit lane. Very, very good driving there by Hülkenberg. That saved him probably a 5 or 10 second penalty. DRS now enabled. And now Max Verstappen has DRS on Valtteri Bottas going down to the hairpin. This now makes things very interesting, because what if Max can make a move on Valtteri? And Valtteri went wide, and Max Verstappen on the inside. No, Max is half spun, and now he pulled to the outside. That was very weird. He turned in, and the rear came round, and he held it. So Max Verstappen continues in P3. That was a very weird spin by Max. As Hülkenberg,
what on earth happened there?
I think he turned in probably too hard for the car, and the rear came round. Let's see. The gains a lot.
Valtteri wasn't prepared.
No, absolutely was not. And yeah, simply turned in, and the rear came round. Brilliant save. Yeah, at the hairpin, turns in, rear comes round, and that is a good save. And then gets back on track. But that did cost him about a second to a second and a half. So that is disappointing for him. But Max Verstappen already closing. Yeah, he's already closing right back in, and already I think he's back within DRS of him. And
that Williams has gone the way there.
Slightly gone the way. I think Max
he held him up though.
Max still got DRS though, so I think he'll probably claim some of it back down to 3. But he won't have DRS on Bottas down to the hairpin. Charles Leclerc does a new fastest lap, a 1:27.6, and look how close Charles Leclerc is to Verstappen. He was And Hamilton.
Bottas just did a 132.6. Leclerc did a 127.6. He was 5 seconds quicker on that previous lap.
Absolutely. And that, if Charles Leclerc can keep that up, then he'll be right on the back of these two very, very quickly. As by the way, guys, we are on lap 18 out of 64. As Verstappen is starting to again close back in. As Hülkenberg passes Raikkonen at the hairpin. So Hülkenberg on his fresh inters, because remember he pitted as well, is up to P5. So Leclerc P4, Hülkenberg P5, and then Kimi Raikkonen is back down to 6th. But again, Nib, look how far Raikkonen is ahead of Vettel. He's 5 seconds clear. What a performance by Raikkonen and also Hülkenberg. What a great performance to be that far ahead of the Ferrari, considering the Ferrari is in the fight. Very good performance.
Indeed, Nico Hülkenberg having a very good race, and so is Kimi Raikkonen, but Charles Leclerc absolutely flying around at the moment. But it's very funny. I just noticed that Verstappen got within a second of the DRS in the previous lap, and I was going to say, oh, it's not going to matter because DRS isn't enabled. And then as soon as he got within a second, boom, DRS enabled. And then he nearly got past Valtteri. But of course, the rear end came around. As here we have a replay, Nico Hülkenberg looked quite a way back here from Kimi Raikkonen, but then he just gains and gains and gains, and quite an easy move there with the assistance. Oh, there's Carlos Sainz in the wall!
In the wall, and he was 8th, and he gets going again, where that's turn 8.
Is that turn 1? That's turn...
Is that
final corner?
Yeah,
final corner.
That is final corner. He's got something on his tyre. I don't know what it is, but he's down now to 14th. What a critical error that is. And that puts Alexander Albon up to 8th. Albon started 16th. He's now 8th. Here's a replay. So I assume he drops it and...
He's going to do what Leclerc does.
He goes wide and then just puts a slightly bit too much throttle on and spins. Oh, that's a shame. He was looking good. He was P8. Now he's P14. Oh, that's a shame. But that does promote Alexander Albon up to 8th. Antonio Giovinazzi is 9th. Good performance by him. Grosjean is in the points. And then you've got Gasly in... oh no, Gasly's P10. Gasly has passed Grosjean somewhere. So Gasly getting back into the thick of it. As Charles Leclerc is only 5 seconds behind. And that's closing, by the way. He's only 5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. And he was about 10 behind as he goes a bit wide there, but that's just the wet racing line. Yeah, it was 15, and he's took 10 seconds out in what, 5 laps? That's incredible. So yeah, I'm just trying to do the order. So Gasly is up to 10th, Grosjean is 11th, P12 is Daniel Kvyat. And then P13 is Lando Norris and P14 Carlos Sainz. That is, considering Renault are now 5th with Hülkenberg, that's a critical mistake for Carlos Sainz in the Constructors fight. And yeah, the rest of the order is as it is. And Leclerc, losing the rear end of treat in the 9 and 10 chicane. Now comes into the stadium. He started 10th, he's now 4th, and he is flying.
There's still that string stuck on the bodywork. I can just see on the left-hand side floor, just at the leading edge of the floor, there is still that string stuck in the car. As we've got this team radio from Sebastian Vettel, which of course we cannot hear, but I was just hearing before that rain is coming. I didn't, that was from Max Verstappen's engineer, so don't know exactly when, but rain is on its way.
Okay, and the drivers, I have to tell you, their inters are absolutely gone, I think, for some of them. Because some of them look like they have no grip on this nearly dry track. As Max Verstappen is nearly within DRS, as Lance Stroll has just passed Kevin Magnussen for 15th. Let me quickly update that. Stroll 15th, and Magnussen is down to 16th. But yeah, fresh inters right now are the way to go. But it's about, well, Charles Leclerc, the advantage he had is that he didn't, lose a ton of time doing what he did. So that's why he is now right in the frame. Vettel's right rear tyre looks absolutely dead. As Stroll, here the replay is, down the inside of the hairpin. Good move. And no, I don't think that's him pushing Magnussen off the track. I think Magnussen was beaten, to be honest.
Remember, of course, in 2016, that would be a 10-second time penalty.
Of course, but times have changed, of course. The closest battle on track on lap 21 out of 64 is Verstappen Bottas. And Bottas there, look, made an error at the penultimate corner. Made a slight error, and that's cost him a couple tenths of a second. And Verstappen is right on the bubble of DRS now.
You could see, though, Max's rear tyres are absolutely destroyed. They're really struggling here because half of the track is dry. As you can see, they're absolutely bone dry. But then other parts of the track, mainly in the final sector, it's still wet.
It is. It absolutely is. And yeah, the rear tyres of Max Verstappen's car do not look good. Also, when we had a look at Vettel's rear tyres, they looked very bad as well. And there's simply not enough wet patches for them to cool the inters. So they've got no real grip. The tyres have just completely gone. And that's why Charles Leclerc now, because he's on a fresh set, even though there's not, and there Leclerc is in the background, only 4 seconds behind Verstappen, because there is only a certain amount of wet patches around, because Leclerc's on fresh inters, that's helping Charles get up the grid. And just looking at the order to see if it's absolutely correct. Yes, it is. I will say another great performance to shout out is Alexander Albon. He's P8 and he started P16. Benefited massively from starting, from going on to the inters. And here comes Kevin Magnussen. He isn't going to do what I think he is. Surely not. As he comes in, and he is. He's going to go for the soft tyres. And
it's raining though.
It's raining, but they're going to go for it. Why not? They've got nothing to lose, and some of the track is dry. So let's see what he can do. It's a wet pit lane, so it will struggle on.
You could see as though it was stationary, though, that it was raining.
Well, we'll see what happens. You never know. This part of the track looks pretty dry. As he now comes into turn 3, he's probably going to go wide. No, he doesn't. And yet the radar now says it's raining.
That's what I just said. It's raining.
But, well, if it's only just started raining, then, well, that's unfortunate for them because...
Verstappen.
Oh, yeah, Verstappen right at the back of Bottas. Down the inside Verstappen, but Bottas will get a better run out because he took the wider line. So Verstappen will remain behind for now. And that allows Charles Leclerc just to close in on these two. And Magnussen is currently in P16, half a minute behind Lance Stroll in 15th. So really, again, he doesn't have that much to lose. He might as well try and hope that the track is dry enough for him to set some, laps that are a couple seconds faster than the leaders or something, but probably won't work. As Bottas and Verstappen come through the Sachs curve, Verstappen carrying a lot more speed through the corner. I will say, Valtteri driving very, very well today. Not sure he is as quick as Verstappen, but he is driving very, very well in P2, defending his P2 from Max Verstappen, who I think is within DRS. Not sure though, as they now come to turn 3, and surely Max Verstappen is close enough for DRS. Yeah, he's definitely going to be close enough. And
Vettel's going on the soft compound tyre. They just come across on his team radio and said he's going on the soft tyre.
Well, again, it's the most of the track is dry, so why not? Why not take a risk? Because he's not going to be happy with 7th, of course. As Verstappen again looks to the inside, but Bottas driving very, very well. And yet Vettel is in. Vettel is in for soft tyres. If it works, then he'll be an absolute god. Let's see if it does. As he comes...
Magnussen hasn't lost too much time to Stroll on his outlap.
No, he hasn't. He's still about the same behind, and that's Grosjean going through. So Vettel is down to 11th by going on.
Vettel very cautious out the pit lane.
Absolutely. Well, the pit. That's the thing, is when you go onto dry tyres, the pit lane normally is wet because not enough cars come through there to dry it up. So there you go, as Verstappen and Bottas still come through. The final corner, and Verstappen is close but not close enough for a move. That promotes Alexander Albon up to 7th and Antonio Giovinazzi up to 8th. Gasly is up to 9th. And then P10 is Romain Grosjean. And Red Bull
there you go. Magnussen's starting to fly now once he's got those tyres up to temperature a little bit. I think that we might see some teams starting to come in for the soft tyres now.
Yeah, well, and Verstappen gets DRS now. It looks like it's raining now on that camera. So who knows? But Verstappen, will he go down the inside? No, he will not. Bottas again defending his position very well. But let me just see Vettel. So Vettel is currently a second behind Grosjean and closing in. So yeah, I think if it doesn't rain for quite a bit, then I think you should go on dry tyres now. And by the way, the advantage that Ferrari have is that they have plenty of soft tyres because, of course, they didn't run as much as they would have wanted. So they can use plenty of that tyre.
As Vettel's just lost 3 seconds.
He's just lost 3 seconds. I don't think Red Bull going to pit. No, it's not ready yet. Magnussen, though, is catching Stroll.
No, they are. They're ready. Red Bull are ready.
Let's see if they come in. Let's see what Mercedes do. Bottas stays out and Verstappen comes in. So they're going to take the risk. And they'll drop down to P4 because of it. Because Charles Leclerc is there. But he will only come out in 4th. So if it doesn't quite work out, at least he will still be in there somewhere. And he comes in now for soft tyres. Oh no, medium tyres. Medium compound tyres. That's interesting. As he now comes out into the pit lane. Wet pit lane. And let's see what Max can do. As Lewis Hamilton... No, go on.
I've just noticed that Magnussen's taken a couple of seconds out of Stroll in the last lap. And also, who is it? Who else is on? Oh, Vettel has now closed back up to Grosjean as well. So the slicks certainly looking like it's the way to go at this phase of the Grand Prix.
Absolutely. At this current moment, it looks as though that is way to go. Here's a replay of Leclerc probably doing the same thing. And goes wide, but, safely comes back on like Carlos Sainz basically should have done. And behind him, look, is Magnussen. So Magnussen's probably unlapped himself. Look at that. Vettel's made another error. As Kvyat and Norris have come in. And Stroll. So not everyone's committing, though. That's interesting. That's what's making it interesting. Not everyone is committing to the soft tyre. Because Vettel, for example... and just out is... Kvyat and Norris.
Lando Norris doing a Daniel Ricciardo.
Absolutely, as Mercedes have got medium tyres ready, surely for, I don't know, for Bottas, not for Hamilton. Bottas goes out on mediums, yellow flag in sector 3, is that Max Verstappen off the track? I don't know, but there's a yellow flag in sector 3, so it must have been him. But Valtteri is going to come out in a net P2, so yeah, Max definitely made an error. Yeah, he spun, heading up to the penultimate corner, and then very nicely spins back around and gets going again. So he didn't lose that much time. He only lost probably 3 or 4 seconds, but that's still critical, of course, on the mediums. Here is a picture of Red Bull. There you go. And yet Max spinning around. And he's, for now, P4. Valtteri Bottas, P3. Verstappen, P4. So let me quickly update that. As Norris off the track. He's out. He's out. He's got a reliability issue. Lando Norris is out of the Grand Prix. And then racing
Stroll.
point. Stroll is off. I don't know if he's stuck in the gravel, but he's out, I think. As Giovinazzi and Gasly are pitting and Grosjean. But Stroll is in... the gravel. I don't know if he's still there or not. But if a safety car or a virtual safety car comes out now, that is a dream for drivers still on intermediate tyres. Yellow
I think
flag.
they'll probably go for I think they should probably go for a safety car here because drivers are going on.
Virtual.
No, they've gone for virtual. It's just because cars are flying off the track, as we've seen. But Leclerc now going on the soft compound tyre.
Absolutely. So Leclerc will
And
go.
that's going to benefit from Bottas and Verstappen. Leclerc should be promoted up into P2 here. He's going to be a big beneficiary from this.
Is he? Yes.
Yes, he is.
Leclerc's P2 and Hamilton is still on inters. Wow, Leclerc could win this Grand Prix because Hamilton's still on inters. And if the virtual safety car comes in before Hamilton pits. True, but Leclerc, he's on the right tyre, and even if Hamilton comes out of the pit lane, Leclerc will be faster on that first lap of Hamilton's out the pit lane. Hülkenberg is 5th. Stroll has got going again in 15th. So let me just do some of the orders. Albon is up to 6th. He hasn't pitted. Raikkonen is pitted for the medium compound. Hülkenberg is not pitted. So is Lewis Hamilton. We're on lap 28 out of 64, by the way. We're not even at half distance in this Grand Prix. Still got plenty of time to go. Raikkonen, is 7th. And then you've got Vettel in 8th. Carlos Sainz is 9th, but Carlos has not pitted. Antonio Giovinazzi has pitted as the virtual safety car finishes, and in comes Lewis Hamilton for probably medium compound tyres. Giovinazzi is 10th. Then you've got Gasly in P11, P12. And here he comes. No, soft tyres, not mediums. It's soft tyres for Lewis Hamilton. And there's an issue getting the tyre off. Right front comes on now. And he should come out in P1. But Leclerc will be on the first lap out the pits. He will be pretty good, Charles, because he has more experience on the dry tyres.
Oh, Leclerc's in the wall!
Leclerc is out. Yes, it is. Charles Leclerc's in the wall. And he's out of this race. Charles Leclerc has, you have to say, has bottled it at the, I think that's turn 8. Or, no, it's the final corner, I think.
The final corner.
Charles Leclerc is out of the German Grand Prix. He looked like he was possibly going to be contending for the win, and he's completely thrown it away. And a full safety car has come out. That benefits Hülkenberg and Albon and Sainz a lot because they're still on intermediate tyres. But Charles Leclerc is out. Hamilton then leading from Bottas, Verstappen, Hülkenberg now up to 4th. Hülkenberg is actually going to be in 4th when he pits as well. And yep, Leclerc is out, and they're going to pit Vettel again for another set of the soft tyres. But Hülkenberg is 4th. Alexander Albon is 5th now. And here's a replay, and yep, it's definitely at that final corner, or the penultimate corner leading into the final corner, and he does the same thing again. No, he loses the rear end, loses it again. Trying desperately to stop it, and he just didn't have enough grip. Just didn't have enough grip, pushing too hard. Tried to save it, but there's not enough grip out there, and he is absolutely out of this Grand Prix. Another Ferrari driver a year on putting it in the wall. And
it was Inters for Vettel.
Was it Inters?
It looks like Inters.
I'm pretty sure it was soft tyres because I swear they brought them out, but we'll see in a moment. Carlos Sainz is 6th.
Oh, it's Hamilton! Hamilton's gone off!
Hamilton's off, and he's going into the pit lane, but he hasn't, and he's broke his front winglet. He's broke his front wing. And it's raining again. He's broke his front wing. And Bottas now leads, but Bottas and Verstappen are going to have to pit again. Oh, what is going on? Hamilton comes in. Oh, my
days. They're not ready. They don't know what's going on. This is utter chaos in the pit lane here for Mercedes. And Sebastian Vettel is on the intermediate tyres. There's utter chaos here. They can't get the front wing off. What is going on?
I have no idea what's going on. Hamilton is still in 2nd, apparently, but I don't believe that. Front wing goes on. They haven't got any tyres ready. Now they have. No, they haven't. They've got no tyres on. What is going on? Hulkenberg is now third. And that's why Hamilton went off, Nib, because you said it started raining again. Hamilton's still in the pit lane.
They don't know what tyres to put on.
They got the inters on. Now he goes out. He's been in the pits for a minute. That was a 50-second pit stop. He's still in. That's a lapped car. That's Lance Stroll. But we are now under a safety car. Lap 30 out of 64. Hulkenberg's up to third. Albon's fourth for Toro Rosso. Hamilton's fifth. What a disaster. We'll have to see a replay of that. I'm going to assume he did the same thing, but slightly got away with it. Hamilton fifth, then Sainz, Raikkonen, Vettel on Inters. And then there's Gasly, Giovinazzi. Magnussen has magically appeared in P11, but he's on soft tyres.
So Max Verstappen's got to be leading this Grand Prix in a minute.
He is.
Oh my days.
From Hulkenberg and Albon. What an incredible turn of events.
I knew something had happened as Leclerc was walking out the car and waving to the crowd. The crowd in the grandstands just absolutely erupted as Bottas is struggling to get into the pit lane. They knew the rain was coming. The team's risked to go onto the soft tyre as he's just about going to the pit lane. Well done, Valtteri Bottas. He's going to come back in what looks to be probably P3.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be P4. We'll see.
It's quite a short pit lane.
Inters go on, and all noted wrong side of the bollard. That's what I was saying as well. He went the wrong side of the bollard. He couldn't go the right side, but he might get punished for that again. And Bottas comes out, P3 on Inters. So, right, let me try and do this order. So, safety car is out. It's lap 31. Max Verstappen is in the lead from Nico Hulkenberg in second. Valtteri Bottas is third. Alexander Albon is fourth. Lewis Hamilton is fifth. Sixth is Carlos Sainz. Seventh is Raikkonen. Eighth is Vettel. Ninth is Gasly. 10th is Giovinazzi. 11th is Daniel Kvyat. P12 is Kevin Magnussen. Here's a replay. Did the same thing as Leclerc. Oh, he's very lucky. Very, very, very lucky boy to not break his suspension there. And he couldn't really go the right side of the bollard, so I think he might get away with it, but we'll have to see. They might give him a penalty. We'll have to see what they do. So, Kvyat, Magnussen 12th, Grosjean 13th, Russell 14th. Robert Kubica is 15th. And yes, the Dutch army goes mad because Max Verstappen somehow has come out in the lead of the Grand Prix. And Nib, you know what makes it even better? We've got 50% of the race left. So it's going to get even more crazy here at Hockenheim. So Russell 14th, Kubica 15th, Stroll 16th. And then out of the race, I forgot to actually update it, but your retirements are Leclerc, Norris, Ricciardo and Perez. Those are your retirements. Let me just see everyone in the chat going absolutely crazy. I can see you guys, and by the way, I have about 1,900 people watching live. Guys, thank you so much for that. That is really, really appreciated from both me and Nib. But we've still got another 32 laps left, or 33 laps left.
Lewis Hamilton is a lucky boy, because we've seen Charles Leclerc do the same mistake, but he went in a little bit more sideways than Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton almost bounced off the wall, like you would with damage off in a Codemasters game. And as Charles Leclerc is absolutely furious, and under investigation is Lewis Hamilton. What for?
It's for going the wrong side of the bollard.
They've actually made it an investigation now. There you go. So Hamilton under investigation for going on the wrong side of the bollard.
Absolutely. And let me see.
But I was saying is as Leclerc went in before that they might put out the full safety car. Oh no, that was for a different incident. Never mind. As now the lap cars are being let through.
Yep, the lapped cars. Who's that? That's Stroll. I think that's the only lapped car left to go through. Yeah, because Stroll is the last runner. So, and here is a picture of Hamilton with no front wing. And again, if you are just tuning in, you've missed a lot, but don't worry. We've got 32 laps left, and we're on lap 32. So half the race to go at Hockenheim. Anything could happen. Hülkenberg could get a podium. He's second for now, of course. Long way to go, but you never know. This is why we love the wet, because anything can happen. You got, by the way, Russell in 14th for Williams, who's currently trying to unlap himself and get Brown to the back of the pack. But yeah, so let me just wait for the running order to come around on the screen and read it out, as we are now under a safety car as Robert Kubica is pitted. I'll update that in a moment. So Max Verstappen leads from Nico Hülkenberg in second. Valtteri Bottas is third. Alexander Albon is fourth. Lewis Hamilton is fifth. Carlos Sainz is sixth. Kimi Räikkönen is seventh. Sebastian Vettel is eighth. Pierre Gasly is ninth. Antonio Giovinazzi is 10th. Daniel Kvyat is 11th. Kevin Magnussen is 12th. Romain Grosjean is 13th. Russell is 14th. Stroll is 15th. Kubica is 16th. I'll update it in a moment. And your retirements are Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, and Sergio Perez, as the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So get ready, guys. We've got another 30-odd laps of great racing to come. Let me just quickly put Stroll in 15th. By the way,
we've still got 30 laps left.
That's just it's great that we've got that many laps left. By the way, I will say, even though they're in great positions, Hülkenberg, Albon, and Sainz are going to be massively under threat because they are on very worn inters compared to the inters of, you know, Verstappen, Bottas, Hamilton, Raikkonen, Vettel, Gasly, drivers like that. So they are...
It's a safety car running wide there.
Safety car can't even handle the conditions at Hockenheim. And now Max takes control as Binotto looks like he doesn't want to show his face ever again. Verstappen is now the leader of the pack and is about to get going again.
He's going. He's going, well, hey.
As he now comes into the Sachs curve, Hülkenberg is ready to get going here. And Max Verstappen goes now. So Max Verstappen leads the pack away on lap what is about to be 35 out of 64. And it is Verstappen leading from Nico Hülkenberg in second, Bottas third, Albon fourth, Hamilton fifth, Sainz, Raikkonen, Vettel, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Kvyat, Magnussen, Grosjean, Russell, Stroll, Kubica. Gasly goes round the outside of Vettel. Gasly right round the outside of Vettel at turn one. What a move by Pierre Gasly.
He's under threat for Giovinazzi.
Vettel struggling with tyre warm-up. And, yeah, he's under threat. But, yeah, Gasly right round the outside of Vettel at turn one. What a move that is. And now...
As Verstappen has a 2-second lead already.
He does. And look at Hamilton under threat from Sainz. And Hamilton trying to get past Albon. What's going to happen down here? Hamilton right round the outside. Will he get the move done? No, he won't. Albon brilliantly shuts the door and allows Carlos Sainz. And then Lewis Hamilton gets a 5-second time penalty as Vettel passes Gasly. Going off everywhere. As Hamilton still trying to get past Alexander Albon. So Gasly back down to 9th. Vettel is 8th. You got Grosjean up to 12th. As Vettel having a look at Raikkonen. And they lead now through on their first lap after the safety car. So it is still Verstappen, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Albon, and Giovinazzi. Having a look at Gasly. He's all over the back of them. But he can't get the move done. as they now come into a lot of the final corners. And the Alpha is all over the back of the Red Bull. Giovinazzi looking great. The Alpha, to be honest, looking great in the wet. Saying that, Kvyat now gets close to Antonio. And they now all come through turn one. And Max Verstappen leads by 4 seconds. And Hülkenberg, by the way, is doing well. He's 1.2 clear of Valtteri Bottas. And Hamilton is a second behind Albon. This is great stuff. As you've got, the Toro Rosso of Kvyat trying to, wrestling the car around the back of Antonio Giovinazzi there. And who's this? That is Grosjean on the back of Kvyat. Can he make a move? Oh, he almost collected him, but he'll get a good run out of the corner. And Grosjean puts the power down. Will he get the move done? No, he cannot. And down to turn 8, and no, he will not get the move done. But for now, the order is stationary as Lewis Hamilton is closer to Albon now than he was a few moments ago, but still no way through. And this is hurting Hamilton because he's already 10 seconds behind Max Verstappen, now on lap 36 out of 64. Now come into the final part of the stadium where you can't overtake, but mistakes, as we've seen today, are quite regular. And into the final corner they come. And Hamilton still down in P5 behind Alexander Albon in P4. Can Hamilton make a move? Surely Hamilton eventually is going to get past. As they come down to turn 3, Albon slightly defending. Under investigation is Lewis Hamilton again. What's this for? Let's see what it's for. Lewis Hamilton under investigation for driving unnecessarily slowly while the safety car is deployed. That's going to cost him. If he gets a penalty, that'll be another 5 seconds. As Hamilton now round the outside of Albon at the hairpin. Switches back brilliantly, and Lewis Hamilton, as the DRS now enabled, Lewis Hamilton up to P4 ahead of Albon. As Magnussen passes Grosjean and Bottas now all over the back of Nico Hülkenberg. So Hamilton up to 4th now, but Hamilton could get another 5 seconds added to his time. So Hamilton could end up definitely off the podium if he don't get a move on. As Bottas all over the back of Hülkenberg. And the order remains the same. Nib, are you still with us?
I sure am still here with us.
I was just making sure because there's a lot going on. As Verstappen on now lap 37 is 7.5 seconds clear of Nico Hülkenberg. He is definitely doing what he needs to do and build a gap. So if he wants to pit again for some kind of tyre, then he can. As Hülkenberg is still comfortably for the moment ahead of Valtteri Bottas. As now they come onto the longest straight on the track, and Valtteri, I think. Oh no, Valtteri's close enough, surely, for a move. DRS wide open, and Valtteri Bottas gets DRS. Hülkenberg is going to have to defend. No, he doesn't. Bottas just goes straight down the inside. Hülkenberg will try to switch back, but that will not work. Valtteri Bottas is up to 2nd, and again, Nib, it looks like that.
Is there very quickly. Hamilton has absolutely gained a mile. Look at him. Look at him. Since he's passed Albon, he's gained nearly 4 seconds on that past Albon. Hamilton is absolutely flying at the moment, and it will be a matter of time before Hülkenberg gets passed by Lewis Hamilton, and then I'm sure it'll be the case of Lewis Hamilton being all over the back of his teammate Valtteri Bottas.
Absolutely, as he now comes into, and I will say, it looks like to me the rain has stopped. It says it's raining, but it looks like it's drying out again. But so Verstappen, as Norris is there in the McLaren pits, of course, out of the race. But Max Verstappen still pulling away, though. He's now 8.5 seconds clear, so he's still very, very quick as Valtteri Bottas. As Bottas, or quicker than Bottas, sorry. Bottas is 2nd, Hülkenberg is 3rd, Hamilton 4th, and Hamilton surely is going to pass Hülkenberg for 3rd and relegate Nico down, as Pierre Gasly is within DRS of Sebastian Vettel for 8th. Raikkonen is just about on the cusp of DRS on Sainz for P6. And here comes Hamilton. DRS wide open, and he should get the move done, surely, unless the Renault can just about stay ahead. I think the Renault will stay ahead, unless Hamilton... Oh no, Hamilton throws it right up the inside and blocks Hülkenberg off brilliantly, and Lewis Hamilton is up to third on lap 38 out of 64. The Hamilton third, Hülkenberg fourth.
Now on to his teammate, Valtteri Bottas.
Absolutely, and this is personal because this is a World Championship, remember. Valtteri is not going to let him through. He will fight to the death to get points on Hamilton as Verstappen continues to pull away from Valtteri Bottas. And yet Hamilton replayed brilliantly, passing Hülkenberg, chucked it down the inside, way more confidence than Nico on fresher tyres and in a better car, and gets the move done. So, let's see what else is going on. So Gasly looked right behind Vettel, and even though Vettel Nib has made a great start, he's not that quick compared to Raikkonen. He's always been quite slow compared to Raikkonen, hasn't he?
He has. Vettel has been very slow. He made a fantastic start, of course, gained a little bit by pitting underneath the virtual safety car, I think it was, with Alex Albon. But since then, his pace has really not been up to scratch of where even his teammate Charles Leclerc was at during this Grand Prix. He's now under pressure from Pierre Gasly. But yeah, Vettel's had a bit of a disappointing race. Of course, he's in P8 after starting last, but he's as he runs a little bit wide there. His pace has been quite disappointing, honestly.
Yeah, it has. And Kimi Raikkonen has consistently, even though Vettel now has DRS on Raikkonen, Kimi has been consistently faster over the course of the race. A great performance by Raikkonen, as Gasly's still not close enough for a move. Carlos Sainz is doing well to hold off Raikkonen and co. Let me just show this picture of Hamilton. Now, passing Hülkenberg for third, and Hamilton now 1.6 behind Bottas. Valtteri still losing time to Verstappen, so Max, I think, right now is in a comfortable P1. Just needs to make sure he doesn't make a mistake and make sure he chooses the right tyres if the conditions do change. As on lap 40 out of 64, he does a 1 minute 27.6, the new fastest lap of this Grand Prix. As it now looks like, as we were saying that, right?
It's Kimi's run off.
Kimi's off. Is he in the wall? No, he's not. But that's a crucial error. And Raikkonen now down to 10th. Is he? No, 9th. That's Giovinazzi right behind him. So Raikkonen down to 9th. That is such a shame because he was running so well in this Grand Prix, and now he's got his teammate over the back. Let's see. A replay, and it's going to be the same, isn't it? Going to run wide. And yeah, lots of oversteer, and he did very well to not go into the wall, did Kimi Raikkonen. So he's down to 9th. That promotes Vettel and Gasly up to 7th and 8th. And now he's got his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi, who I will say has driven very well today. He's always been in that top 10 area. A great drive by Antonio, and also by Kimi up to that point. But Verstappen still ahead of Bottas, Hamilton, Hülkenberg.
Just as we're heaping some praise on Kimi.
Exactly. Commentator's curse comes alive once again. As now, let's see what the next piece of action is going to be. By the way, guys, thank you so much for, I think, about 2,000 live viewers. I cannot thank you guys enough. By the way, super chat from Jungle Girl.
Hülkenberg at the wall!
Hülkenberg! Oh, he's out. Surely Hülkenberg is out. He's blown the possible podium again. Oh,
at
no.
the final corner.
And
it is Strock again.
He's out, surely. He's got to be out of this race. Oh, what a disaster for Renault. I was about to read out super chat from Jungle Brothers for 2 saying Hamilton was put on slicks against his wishes. We'll have to see about that after the race. Here's the mistake, and he did the same thing. Oversteer, then understeer, got on the... And the car just wouldn't turn right, and he went to the scene of the accident, and I think he's out of this Grand Prix.
Oh, he is absolutely out of this Grand Prix, and that will probably be another safety car.
That will really spice things up. If it is.
It has to be.
Albon is P4 now. Carlos Sainz, even though he made the error early, is now P5. Sebastian Vettel goes up to P6 with that. And then, yes, safety car. Safety car is out on lap 41 out 64. So it's all going to close up once again. Oh, this is great. This is great stuff.
And so when Nico Hülkenberg had a chance of getting a podium once again in Formula One, as Max Verstappen is in pits, Nico Hülkenberg has blown it once more.
He has, as Raikkonen up to 8, Giovinazzi 9th, Max Verstappen in the pit lane for more inters.
Fresh inters.
As he will he come out behind Bottas and Hamilton if they stay out?
Close.
Let's see. He gets out in the lead. That's very, very...
Oh, that's very
good.
It looks like Bottas had actually won wide then, but he had not. There's the Dutch crowd, of course, which is... They've taken over Hockenheim this weekend.
Vettel's in for a fresh set of inters.
Not that it's going to matter because Vettel's pace has been pretty dreadful.
It has.
But there we go.
New inters. By the way, that's great for Max because when the safety car comes in, he can now pull away even more on a 10-lap fresher set of inters. So that puts Gasly up to 6th. Does Vettel's pit stop? Kimi Raikkonen gets back ahead of Vettel again. And does Giovinazzi and Kvyat. So Vettel down to P10. So Alfa 7th and 8th. Toro Rosso 4th and 9th. That's great. That's 14 points if they can score it. And to be honest, at this rate, I think they can. I think Toro Rosso could finish in a 4th and 9th. And I said, whenever it rains, Toro Rosso always great. And again, they're great. So Kvyat's up to 9th. Vettel is P10. Here is a replay of Vettel at the pit stop. Don't know what we're going to see here.
It was a slow pit stop. That's right.
The right front wouldn't go on properly, but only cost him probably 2 seconds. I think he would have come out behind that pack of drivers anyway. So, yeah, Vettel back out on track. So Magnussen is now 11th. And by the way, when it comes to Hülkenberg, this is why I don't rate him massively highly, because whenever he gets a chance, he doesn't take it. He had a great chance there, not maybe of a podium, but, if another driver, the Mercedes mechanics come back in, if there was a driver ahead that made a mistake and crashed, like Raikkonen has, Hülkenberg, all those drivers, then he could have been on the podium. But he was the one making the mistake that caused the safety car. George Russell is now 13th. 3 more retirements, and Williams are in the points. Stroll is 14th again. Then you've got Kubica in 15th, and another retirement is Nico Hülkenberg. So your retirements are Hülkenberg, Leclerc, Norris, Ricciardo, Perez. So both Renaults out. And if Carlos Sainz finishes 5th, as Kevin Magnussen comes into the pit lane for fresh inters, if Sainz finishes 5th, then this has been an awful day for Renault. And yeah, Kevin Magnussen into the pits and out, and he will come out in P12, I think. But now, again, we can cool down a bit because this race has been great. We've still got another 20 laps left. It's lap 43 out 64. We're under a safety car. By the way, remember, Lewis Hamilton has a 5-second time penalty and might get another penalty for being too slow under the safety car. So, Lewis Hamilton could end up off the podium still. We'll have to see what happens. But let me just quickly, if I can, get a picture of Hülkenberg crashing. And he's so disappointed, but he only has himself to blame. It is a difficult area of the track to keep it under control in the wet, but, the best drivers always
have done it.
They have done it, but they also, still come out on top. Hamilton did get a bit lucky, but also, I think, had his car more so under control than Leclerc did. As the safety car's still out, as they're now going to start lap 44. out of 64 at Hockenheim. So, cannot wait for the rest of this race. I told you guys, wet races, nothing beats them. Nothing beats them. So let me just read out the order again. And actually, I've got to make a slight change to the order. So, lap 44 out 64, we're under a safety car because Hülkenberg has crashed out from P4. Max Verstappen is P1 from Valtteri Bottas in second, Lewis Hamilton third, Alexander Albon in fourth, Carlos Sainz fifth, Pierre Gasly sixth, Kimi Räikkönen seventh, Antonio Giovinazzi is eighth, Daniel Kvyat is 9th, Sebastian Vettel is 10th, and then outside the points, but still finishing just about, the two Haases of Grosjean and Magnussen, Russell in the Williams, Stroll in the Racing Point, and Kubica in the Williams. And your retirements, Hülkenberg, Leclerc, Norris, Ricciardo, and Perez. But, well, yeah, 20 laps to go. Who knows what could happen? And I think the safety car is probably going to come in at the end of the next lap. On lap 45 out of 64. Because I think they've cleared Hülkenberg's car away. So yeah, we'll be underway shortly.
Might I just add with Nico Hülkenberg, when you're out of contract at the end of this season, your team principal has publicly stated that he's looking for other drivers. It's not exactly the mistake that you want to be making.
Especially, you know, with drivers like Ocon on the market. Possibly, I don't know, maybe a Sergio Perez on the market as well. Yeah, you don't want to be making mistakes like that, especially when you're in such a great position for the team that would have really struck back in the constructors against McLaren. So yeah, that's a critical error. And that is a real shame that that error was made.
I think I just heard Max inquiring about slicks, but it's through those last three corners, the last sector, it just seems to be a bit too wet as the safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap. So on lap 46, we'll be back under racing with Max Verstappen in the lead.
Absolutely. And that means 18 more laps of great racing. And who knows what could happen in that 18 laps. A lot happened in the last 20. Imagine what could happen in the last 18 of this Grand Prix. And because of the grip that Max will have with fresh inters, Max win this race. But that's only if he doesn't make an error. As Valtteri trying to cool down those inters. And now Max Verstappen coming into turn 8 is a replay of... No way. No way. Am I seeing that right?
You are seeing that right. Lance Stroll has gone on to the soft compounded tyre.
Oh my god. So...
It's dry throughout the entire track until the last three corners.
That's what is making it hard. It is because off the circuit, there's just water. There's no rubber because no one is really going out there. As Max is backing up the pack a lot. Coming into the stadium, there's drivers waving about, swerving about.
That was Albon taking off the tear off visor.
Oh, okay.
He's not that cheeky.
And Max lets it go, and now we get underway. Max Verstappen, on now lap 46 out of 64, leads the German Grand Prix with 18 to go from Valtteri Bottas in second, Lewis Hamilton third, Albon fourth, Sainz in fifth, looking for water, Gasly sixth, then Räikkönen, Giovinazzi, Vettel, Kvyat is pitted, and Magnussen. For soft tyres, I'm guessing. So that puts Vettel up to 9th, Grosjean 10th. There's Vettel on the wet part of the track. Oh, that's very close with Antonio Giovinazzi. Will he go right around the outside? Yes, he does. Great move by Sebastian Vettel. But
Albon's passed Hamilton.
Yes, he has. Hamilton's made a mistake and Sainz is all over the back. And Gasly. Albon right around the outside. Will he go for it? No, Hamilton will just block him off.
Watch out for sides. Sides up the inside.
He is. But Hamilton, I think, will have just about enough power to pull back ahead. But Sainz is now up to P4. Albon, will he go around the outside, Albon? No, he will not. Wow, great stuff. Verstappen, look at the lead Verstappen has. He's 3.5 seconds clear as Gasly passes Albon because Albon's off and Raikkonen's passed him. Vettel has passed him. Albon, his tyres are dead. He's been on them for so long. He's been on them for about 30 odd laps. And longer than that, Albon's been on those tyres for about 40 laps because he pitted with Vettel at the very start. Car coming in.
Verstappen to the pits.
Verstappen pits for dry tyres.
And Bottas.
And Hamilton does a new fastest lap. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos. So we got Carlos Sainz in, Gasly's in, Bottas is in. Vettel does a new fastest lap on Inters, a 27 flat. Yeah, who else? Albon in the pits, Grosjean, Kubica, Russell's up to 5th in the Williams. As we've got now Vettel over the back of Raikkonen. It's Hamilton, Raikkonen, Vettel. This is not 2018. As Vettel
Stroll is on the slicks.
He's
effective race leader.
He is. Stroll's he's 5th. Stroll's the effective race leader. This is incredible. And he's 2 seconds clear of Verstappen. Oh my God. As Vettel down, he's on a Raikkonen. No way you're getting through there. Raikkonen won't have that. He's too old for that move. I ain't going to update the order yet, guys, because I have no idea what it's going to be in a couple laps' time. So we've got Hamilton from Raikkonen, Vettel, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Verstappen, Russell, Kvyat, Bottas, Sainz, Magnussen, Gasly, Albon, Grosjean, Kubica. Stroll is the net race leader, I think. Will Hamilton come in? Let's see if he does. What will Raikkonen and Vettel do? Hamilton stays out, I think. Did Hamilton stay out? No, he's in the pits. And Giovinazzi's in the pits. So Lance Stroll is going to lead the Grand Prix as Hamilton comes in. They don't look that ready for him. They're not ready for him, I don't think. No, they're not. They're not ready for him.
5-second time penalty.
Oh, yeah, 5-second penalty. Vettel's out ahead. Vettel is ahead of Hamilton. And will an Alfa be ahead of Hamilton? No.
There's Kvyat in 3rd.
Kvyat's 3rd. Stroll is leading, but Verstappen's right behind him. Oh, this is crazy stuff.
Side by side down the main straight. We need to cut to that picture. Verstappen has made the move on Stroll and we're missing it.
Verstappen up to 1st. Stroll is 2nd. Kvyat 3rd.
Oh, FOM. You've had a mare there. Who cares about them coming out the pits? We want to see the battle. As it is Albon up the inside of Gasly there, as he's got it done. Great move that by Albon on Gasly. Bit of a message sent there to Mr. Helmut Marko.
Absolutely. Sainz is 5th. Magnussen, so Stroll and Kvyat on the podium for now. We've got 16 laps to go. Lewis Hamilton is 12th. Vettel is 9th. Hamilton, I don't think Hamilton can get a podium from here. There's not enough time left. Who knows, though, in this crazy race. Magnussen is 6th. He was 12th a minute ago. Then it's Albon, Gasly. Who else have we got? Vettel in 9th. Grosjean is 10th. Verstappen does a new fastest lap. And Verstappen at 1:23. Of course, they're now into the dry tyre times. New fastest lap for Kvyat at 1:20 flat. Kvyat flying. Grosjean 3rd. 10th. Kimi Raikkonen is 11th. Lewis Hamilton 12th. And Albon
We're still not...
I know. It's very, very annoying, but, you know, it's FOM. Albon passing Gasly there, that we're saying. Hamilton is 12th. And then it's... As Albon all over the back of Magnussen. Albon's flying in this race now. Giovinazzi is 13th. Then we got the 2 Williamses at the very, very back. Is there someone else out of the... someone else is retired, haven't they? Oh, no, that's just F1 that's raced. Right. Sorry, I'm just very, very confused. So, lap 49 out of 64. And by the way, we officially have 2,000 viewers. It's Verstappen leading from Lance Stroll in 2nd. Danny Kvyat is 3rd. Bottas 4th, 5th Sainz, 6th Magnussen, 7th Albon, 8th Gasly, 9th Vettel, 10th Grosjean, 11th Raikkonen, 12th is Lewis Hamilton, 13th Giovinazzi, and the 2 Williams at the back. Anything could happen. Anything. Rain could come back. Who knows?
Well, Gasly's run massively wide there, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. He's going to put Sebastian Vettel all over the back of him.
Absolutely. And Albon is all over the back of Magnussen for P6. Can Albon get the move done? I think he will. DRS open. And look at the Honda going to cruise past. It looks like it's raining again. Only spitting, though, as Albon has, yes, he's passed Magnussen. So Albon is up to 6th. Toro Rosso 3rd and 6th. What an amazing result that would be. But again, we've got 14 laps to go. By the way, Valtteri Bottas is not even closing really that much on Kvyat, as Albon is 6th. Magnussen is 7th. I'll try and get... Is he closing?
He isn't catching on Verstappen. He certainly is catching Danny Kvyat, though.
He is, but not massively quickly.
No, the gap is to the leader. Bottas is only 2 seconds behind Kvyat.
Okay, so is Verstappen just in a new fastest lap? 1:18.1 for Max Verstappen. And Albon, no, this is Kvyat on Kvyat. Stroll for 2nd in the Grand Prix. It might not be 2nd for long because Bottas is coming. Here comes Kvyat. DRS open as Vettel has passed Gasly. And Kvyat's up to 2nd. Stroll will come back in the slipstream. But Kvyat has done it. Kvyat is 2nd with 13. Antonio Giovinazzi does a new fastest lap of 17.6. But Kvyat is up to 2nd place in this Grand Prix, with Lance Stroll in 3rd. Vettel's on a move. He's passed Magnussen and Gasly in the last half a minute. So Vettel up to 7th. Magnussen is 8th. And Gasly is now 9th. Hamilton, by the way, he's not catching Raikkonen at all. Hamilton has no pace for some reason. And here it is, Niv. You wanted to see it. Here you go.
What a letdown, but it wasn't that eventful by the looks of it. Just Vettel, Verstappen absolutely cruising past Lance Stroll with the use of DRS to take 1st place. Is now Sebastian Vettel, who sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 1:17.5, is now closing up to the back of Alexander Albon. And Sebastian Vettel, well, criticizing his pace before in the wet, but now it looks like in the dry, Sebastian Vettel is coming into his own, as Valtteri Bottas is now closing up to the back of Lance Stroll, and I'm sure we'll see images of that very, very shortly.
Absolutely, Vettel, and there you go, Bottas and Stroll, but he's not close enough yet to make a move. He'll probably do it on the next lap. By the way, here you go. Who would have thought today that we would be talking about a pass for P2 between Daniel Kvyat and Lance Stroll? Wow. There you go, that is on the screen. Verstappen leading, Kvyat 2nd, Stroll 3rd, Bottas, Sainz, Albon, Vettel, Magnussen. Gasly has passed Magnussen. Gasly has passed Magnussen. So let me get that on screen. Magnussen is now down to 9th, ahead of his teammate Romain Grosjean. Hamilton is starting to close back in again on Kimi Raikkonen, but right now he's not in the points, and if Bottas can finish in 2nd, Valtteri will be only 20 points behind going into Hungary. But of course, still 11 laps to go, so let's not get too overhyped yet. By the way, Carlos Sainz, look, is within DRS of Bottas. You never know.
Carlos Sainz is very, very quick. He's been gaining on Valtteri Bottas a little bit, certainly on the last lap, and of course now with DRS, as we've got yellow flags in the first sector. That's Hamilton!
Hamilton! He's off at turn 1, and I think he's broke his front wing again. Yes, he has. He's broke some of it. I think he's broke one of the...
No, he hasn't.
One of the Dumbo wings, though, has fallen off on the front wing.
No, that was like that before from the first crash.
Oh, yes, it was. So goes just way too much speed. Does a Leclerc. Spins through. Who would have thought?
How has he not gone in the wall there?
Pure driver skill, I think we'll have to call that. Does he hit the wall? I think he brushed it. Oh, just brushed it. And Toto
Hamilton,
Wolff not having a good
with
day.
2 mistakes. What is going on? Lewis Hamilton's made 2 mistakes in the same race.
Not so
He's
dominant now.
He's lucky to make 2 mistakes in the whole season the way he's been going as of late, but 2 mistakes in the same race has cost Lewis Hamilton dearly here, and he's down in P13, only a couple of seconds ahead of Robert Kubica.
He is. Kubica's 14th ahead of Russell, and Raikkonen trying to get past the 2 Haas's. Grosjean passes Magnussen. By the way, Bottas still not ahead of Stroll. And here comes Raikkonen around the outside. Can he get the move done? No, he'll do the switch back and get him on the straight. The Grosjean is up to 9th for Haas, but I think Kimi Raikkonen is about to relegate Kevin Magnussen out of the points.
Vettel's got past Albon, and Hamilton's in the pits. He's behind their Williams.
Hamilton behind the Williams. Hamilton is last. He's 15th and last. Who would have thought this? So Magnussen is 11th and Hamilton is out on, I don't know what tyres, but Magnussen 11th. Hamilton is behind the 2 Williamses. Kubica is 13th. Russell is 14th. 15th is Lewis Hamilton. And look at Bottas. He's still not ahead of Stroll. And Nib, this benefits Kvyat so much. Because look at the gap. It's about 3 seconds from Kvyat down to Lance Stroll. So
at this rate, Sebastian Vettel's going to be on the back of this group. Bottas absolutely has to get past Lance Stroll on this lap for the championship and for this race. Bottas has to get past Lance Stroll as soon as possible, as he is now closing on the Canadian down into the hairpin. Is he going to be close enough? He's going to absolutely send it from a mile back, Danny Ricciardo style. Lance Stroll's seen it coming and gone wide. Fantastic defense from Lance Stroll there. He knew that Bottas was going to be desperate, going to try to go for the move. He gave him the room, but made sure that he didn't affect his own run out of the corner, as we've got Kimi Raikkonen up past Roman Grosjean for P9. But it is all kicking off here in the German Grand Prix, if it hasn't already been kicking off in the German Grand Prix so far. But it's surely Valtteri Bottas has to get past Lance Stroll on the next lap.
Surely, but Sainz is right there as well. Perez looks absolutely beaten, knowing that could have been him. Vettel closing quick. And again, because of this battle, Kvyat pulls away. And with only 8 laps left, it could be a Toro Rosso on the podium. We haven't had a Toro Rosso on the podium since Monza 2008. That's 11 years ago. Who knows what could happen? We haven't had a Racing Point on the podium for a year. But we'll see what happens. It's still a long way to go. As Stroll, he's still ahead as they come on now to the longest straight. And I think Valtteri is closer this time to Lance Stroll. Let's see. Is he close enough, though, to make an overtake? No, he's not. Stroll is driving very, very well. And if Stroll finished on the podium, full credit to him. Great drive. As Carlos Sainz is still hanging on the back of this pack. He's starting to drop away slightly, but he's just about remaining on the back of this pack. And here is when Grosjean passed Magnussen. Oh, contact again between the Haas drivers. That's not what you want. That's 2 races in a row. Contact at Haas. Right, let me try and find another picture.
Well, there's wheel-to-wheel contact, no damage done. I'm sure Gunter Steiner will be very angry, but end of the day, it's done no damage. Sebastian Vettel is now within a second of... Oh, Bottas has gone spinning off, and he's in the wall! Bottas is out!
He's out!
Safety car! Oh my God, it's Toto Wolff. They slammed their desk. Valtteri Bottas is out of this race.
And the Verstappen army goes wild. This is Hamilton earlier when he went off, but Bottas is out. The championship swings and safety car is out on lap, what is it, 57 out of 64. Bottas out, and I'm afraid I think that's championship done because he really should. He was pushing too hard. He knew he had to make the move, and he bottled it. Vettel P5, Albon P6 now. Gasly up to 7th. Here it is. It's going to be the same, isn't it? Yeah, pushing too hard. Spins, but hits the wall, unlike his teammate who got away with it. And Valtteri is out of the German Grand Prix. What a Grand Prix. This has to be one of the greatest races I think I've ever seen. This is unbelievable. As yet, Valtteri. And do you know what it is? Is as they turn wide for the corner, there's a wet patch, so they keep clipping it. That's why.
Left rear tyre.
Yeah, left rear clipping the wet. And as Hamilton comes in against it, back on. Game on for Hamilton. Kubica's 12th in the in the Williams. Right, so Kimi Räikkönen is 8th, Grosjean is 9th, Giovinazzi 12th, Verstappen nearly lapping Hamilton there. Magnussen is 11th, and then it is Robert Kubica in P12. Russell is 13th. And by the way, for Kvyat, Sainz and Stroll's sake, hopefully the safety car stays out as long as possible, but so they can get a podium. So right, Russell 13th and Hamilton 14th. Bottas out to the Grand Prix, and his World Championship is over. Absolutely dead and buried now. What a Grand Prix. What a Grand Prix. And yeah, as people were saying in the chat, 125th year anniversary not going well at all. So, I can't even believe what's going on. Lap 58 out of 64. Max Verstappen leads from Daniel Kvyat in 2nd. Lance Stroll is 3rd. Carlos Sainz is 4th. Sebastian Vettel is 5th. Alexander Albon is 6th. Pierre Gasly is 7th. Kimi Räikkönen is 8th. Roman Grosjean is 9th. And Antonio Giovinazzi is 10th. And outside the points, but somehow...
I was just watching in the background there when Bottas went into the wall. The crowd celebrated like someone had scored a goal in the football. Oh, that was hilarious to see. Of course, not so hilarious for Mercedes fans and for Toto Wolff. It's been an absolute disaster. And just as I was saying, Bottas, when he really needed the result, he really needed that result. He needed that P2 to get that right back into the championship. And he bottled it. He just went onto the wet patch with the left rear tyre, spun and went in the wall, and now is out of the race. And I really don't see how he comes back in the championship from here. It's going to be a long way back from Valtteri. This would have been a good step in the right direction today if he managed to get P2. But he got frustrated behind Lance Stroll. He couldn't overtake. A Mercedes couldn't get past a racing point. And he is out of the Grand Prix.
Absolutely incredible scenes. By the way, Hamilton also has bottled it a bit today. But again, as you said, Bottas, he had to capitalise and he failed to do so. Now, Hamilton, if he can come back flying through the pack, he can grab a few points and pull away still. And that's all that he wants. But now, we are lap 59 out 64. And we are still under a safety car. The race will get underway probably on lap 61, I would say. Probably the latest. Maybe next lap we'll have to see. But I'm literally in shock. I can't believe what is going on. We have a Toro Rosso and a Racing Point on the podium at the moment. And who knows? Who knows what could happen? Another driver could crash out. Who knows what could happen? And by the way, I said that a safety car is in at the end of this lap. Right, so we're going to get going in a moment. But I told you, wet races, they're great. And, well, this is probably one of the best things I've ever seen. Safety car in this lap. So, it's going to be lap 60 out of 64 in a moment. And Verstappen will lead the pack away. Let's see.
Verstappen creating a gridlock again.
Absolutely. Let's see for the final 5 laps of what has been probably the greatest German Grand Prix of all time. Let's see how it finishes as Max Verstappen leads the pack away from Daniel Kvyat.
Bye-bye.
And he absolutely does. Kvyat second, Stroll third, Sainz, Vettel, Albon, Gasly, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Kubica, Russell and Hamilton. And look, they're warming up the tyres. Hopefully no crashes as they come into turn 1. And they are now coming through the field. Let's see what happens in what is going to be a do-or-die final 5 laps. Careers and teams' futures will be made on this result. Let's see what happens as Vettel surely running at max power now to get past Carlos Sainz down to the hairpin. Vettel in the slipstream. Sainz defends the inside. Vettel down the inside. Can he get the move done? Yes, he does. Sainz will try out the inside, but he can't get it done. And Vettel is up to 4th. Can Vettel...
Brilliant move, that.
Absolutely. Can Vettel get onto the podium? Surely he can. Sainz will try back. Gasly trying to get past. Alexander Albon right round the outside. No, he will not. And now Raikkonen all over the back of him. And yeah, Albon back past Gasly. So Vettel up to 4th. There's Kvyat holding on to Verstappen very nicely. That's key for him. So yeah, Vettel 4th. Carlos Sainz 5th. And then Albon, Gasly, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi. Oh, Giovinazzi has passed Grosjean. So 8th and 9th for Alpha. Oh no, Grosjean's got back past. Somewhere. Grosjean 9th. And now Vettel will launch his attack on Lance Stroll. You can guarantee, though, there is going to be a midfield team on the podium. Because I don't think Gasly will come through that quickly. With only 4 to go at the Hockenheim ring. As Vettel closing in on Stroll. Will he go for the move? I think he's too far behind. Surely. Yes, he is too far behind, but he is getting very close. Stroll takes the wide line to get the better exit. And there you go. Gets the better exit. As everything else is staying stable for now. And Verstappen pulling away still to surely take his 2nd win in 2019. And Red Bull's first ever win at Hockenheim. Who knows, though, anything can happen with only 3 laps to go. And Hamilton has passed Russell. Let me quickly update that. Hamilton is probably going to pass Kubica as well. As Valtteri walks in and looks absolutely shot of confidence. So Hamilton is basically going to be up to 12th in a moment. Verstappen, new fastest lap. 16.6. Kubica will be in a moment in 13th behind Hamilton. As Vettel surely will get past Stroll before the end. But Stroll is going to use every bit of power he has and use all the skill he has to stay ahead, but I don't think he will. As Sebastian Vettel opens the DRS and uses everything the Ferrari power unit has. And Vettel is on the podium. Gets up to 3rd. Stroll will try to come back, but Vettel gets in front. As Gasly and Albon are racing hard for 6th. As Giovinazzi again passes Grosjean. And Vettel is up to 3rd and now has Daniel Kvyat in his sights for 2nd.
Oh! Gasly's got an issue front wing and he's off.
Out! He's out! Yeah, front, he must have hit Albon.
It's a puncture.
Is it a... Yes, it is. It's a puncture. Gasly out of the race. Anyway, Vettel 3rd. Stroll is 4th, Sainz, Albon, and yet there's surely going to be contact if it's a front wing failure. No, it'll be a tyre failure. We're not seeing it for some reason. And no, it's a front wing because he pulled out too late or Albon moved too late. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see later on.
It looked like Albon went defensive at the same moment that Gasly went for the move. And now Sebastian Vettel is all over the back of Danny Kvyat down the main straight. And there's an absolute no contest. Clearly down the inside goes Sebastian Vettel. There's an absolute roar of eruption. The Sebastian Vettel fans here at the Hockenheim ring are absolutely ecstatic. Started P20, did Sebastian Vettel, and he is now up into P2. Of course, he should not be able to catch Max Verstappen, but still a fantastic result here for Sebastian Vettel today.
No doubt about it. And I think you could probably argue one of the drivers of the day for sure. And yeah, it was an easy pass. I think Kvyat's just trying to hold on for that podium, and I think Kvyat is going to get the podium. So Gasly's now out. Williams 12th and 13th. 2 more retirements, please. Say Williams. And now Max Verstappen will start the final lap of the Grand Prix with Vettel second, Kvyat third, Stroll 4th, Sainz 5th, Albon 6th, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Grosjean, Magnussen. Daniel Kvyat is going to get a podium, I think. We'll have to see. As Max Verstappen starts this final lap. Nib, any comments on his drive?
He has not put a foot wrong. Has Max Verstappen? He's driven brilliantly, except for that little spin that he had on his outlap, I must say. I just remember that on the medium tyres, but it didn't cost him any time. It only cost him a couple of seconds. Apart from that, where we've seen multiple mistakes from Bottas, Leclerc, we've seen mistakes from other drivers as well. Verstappen has been brilliant, and he has been the most consistent. He had some good luck there with the safety car, but he's been the fastest driver all day, as the Dutch army are going to explode, as Max Verstappen is going to comfortably win the German Grand Prix.
Absolutely, as he rounds the final 2 corners, and Max Verstappen brilliantly wins the 2019 German Grand Prix. Great drive, and in P2 from P20 on the grid is Sebastian Vettel. And in third, Daniel Kvyat for Toro Rosso, their first podium in 11 years. Stroll 4th, Sainz 5th, Albon 6th, Raikkonen 7th, Giovinazzi 8th, Grosjean 9th. Magnussen is going to get 10th ahead of Hamilton. Hamilton will not score. Ahead of Kubica and Russell. Retirements, Gasly, Bottas, Hockenheim, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Perez, Norris. But yes, what a race. I loved every bloody second of it. Wow. Look at Toro Rosso. I'm so happy for them. They deserve it so much. Get in there. What a Grand Prix. Oh, what a race. Nib, he's still alive.
Barely. What an absolutely incredible Grand Prix. And Max Verstappen has won. Fantastic drive by Max Verstappen, the deserving winner of this race. What an absolutely ridiculous race that was. And he gets the fastest lap of the race. He gets an extra point for that. What an incredible race. There was drama from start to finish, from starting 3 laps under the safety car with a formation lap. I can't even remember half the stuff that happened in this race. Barely remember that Charles bloody Leclerc went in the wall. Can barely remember that. What a race that has been. Toro Rosso on the podium. Racing Point with a fantastic finish with Lance Stroll in 4th. That is an absolute classic, and that might go down as one of the greatest races we've ever seen in this sport's history. Absolutely incredible stuff.
That is one of the best races I have ever seen. It was unbelievable from start to finish, and that is exactly what we want in our racing. Absolutely brilliant. And I will re-watch this a million times because, yeah, what a Grand Prix. What a race. I cannot believe that. Alan Gio, $5, says Honda's second victory. Absolutely. And they have to take credit as well. As Max Verstappen gets the Driver of the Day award. By the way, guys, I am trying to find a different picture for you guys to put on the screen. And I think this picture will kind of sum up the chaos, and also it will show you your race victor. And wow. What a Grand Prix. Toro Rosso on the podium. Who would have predicted that? Kvyat was 14th to start. Vettel was 20th. Stroll was 15th. Sainz was down in 14th at one point. Wow. Wow. Right. For the next 20 to 30 minutes, guys, right now in the live chat, all of you lovely people, that have listened to us scream our heads off for 2 hours straight, like I said we were going to. Let me know what you thought of what has to be one of the greatest races of all time, and let me know who is your driver of the day. For me, it's Daniel Kvyat. Third in the Toro Rosso, 14th, from 14th on the grid. I'm going Kvyat. What a drive. What a drive. Wow. Right, let's see what you guys have to say. Wow, what a race. Kvyat for me too. And by the way, I'm going to say this now. Anyone out there saying Formula 1 is boring, don't ever talk again, because that was better than any race one of the best races you will ever see ever in your lifetime. And we have had 3 classics in a row. So anyone saying Formula 1 is boring, go away, because no way in a million years is Formula 1 boring. Vettel driver of the day, absolutely. Yeah, I think he is one of the drivers of the day. I'm going to go Kvyat though, because I think he drove better. But yeah, Vettel, yeah, wow, great drive as well. Big result for Kvyat. What happened to Merck? Well, for their drivers, when it mattered most, they bottled it. You have to say, bottled it. Vettel driver of the day. Can we add rain to the 2021 regs?
All right, Bernie.
Congratulations, Vettel to start P20, and oh no, I've still got Vettel in P3 through all the chaos on the running order. Let me just quickly change that. Sorry, guys. Vettel P2. Kvyat P2. Also, great drive by Stroll. Sainz, even though he made an error. Albon, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, anyone who finished really, I think, drove well today, because those were tough conditions. And by the way, I think that might help Sebastian Vettel's confidence a lot, coming from last to second at his home Grand Prix. That might just wipe away the demons of last year. Delta 27, my heart was broken after Hülkenberg crash. It was a shame, but again, the best drivers survived those things. So Kvyat and Red Bull now. Well, you have to say, after a podium for Kvyat, how could you deny him a promotion to a better team, even if it's not Red Bull? And there's Helmut Marko, and he looks very, very happy with the two different Red Bull cars and 2 Honda-powered cars on the podium. Tonka Kvyat deserves a Red Bull seat ASAP. Thank you guys for this translation. That pit stop for Hamilton earlier messed him up. Honda motor not that bad. Getting Lewis. Got a podium before Gasly. Well, Kvyat, that's his 3rd podium of his career. He had a podium at Hungary in 2015, Shanghai 2016, and now has had a podium at Hockenheim in 2019. So Kvyat now has 3 podiums in his Formula 1 career. And I'm really happy for him, because a year and a half ago, so many people were ripping him apart, saying, oh, torpedo this, torpedo that. I knew that he had absolutely the talent to be a good driver and be on the Formula 1 grid. And this season and this race has absolutely showed that. So hopefully the doubters will stop with Kvyat, because that drive today was great. And I don't think he made an error at all during the entire race. So flawless drive. Let me just look at some more comments. Still about 1,200 of you watching. By the way, thank you guys so much for watching. We had, what, 2,100 people watching. That's a new record. That's a new record. So thank you guys so much for that. Cannot thank you guys enough. We aren't going to be staying on, by the way, for very long, because we aren't going to be staying off for very long because, yeah, I need to have a bit of a break, and also There's so many comments coming through, I can't read all of them. Rex 4x4, thank you, Chaz. Thank you. Thank you, Astro Stevo. By the way, Pedro Goldfinger, no, there is no little break. There's a race next weekend, the Hungarian Grand Prix, in a week's time. Mr. Steal Your Pug says, is it the best Grand Prix in the last decade? Probably not the best Grand Prix of the decade, but one of. I'd say top, for me, I'd say top three. Top three best races of the 2010s. Nib, do you think that as well?
Quite honestly, I have absolutely no idea. I don't know what has just happened there. What a Grand Prix that was, but certainly that is the best Grand Prix of this year.
Nothing will, if anything rivals that, then yeah, what a season, what a rest of the season we're going to have. But wow, absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Chazza and Niv, for calling top 5 race ever. Thank you, Michael, Arvin. Yes, F1 delivered. Grazie ragazzi. Thanks, Chaz. That's from Raghav Gupta. Thank you. Yabi says thanks. Other thank yous as well. To anyone saying thank you, again, thank you, because you're the guys that make this stream, so great as well. Because if we weren't commentating to anyone, I doubt it would be anywhere near as good. But yeah, that was probably the most fun I've had in a long, long time, that was. As now the podium celebrations are about to start at Hockenheim. And yeah, thank God there's a race next weekend, so this momentum can continue.
I think I need a break. I don't know if I want another race. I think I want another break.
I will say that would have been a perfect way to end the first half of the season if there was a summer break after this. But yeah, there's a race next weekend. And by the way, guys, you can join us again for the race watch along for Hungary and, quali and practice as well. So don't forget to subscribe for that, bottom right of the screen. You can do it there or click on my channel name, go to the homepage and subscribe and smash the like button as many times as possible if you want to see the content or this content continue on the channel.
That's only once.
Yep, only once. Kvyat is coming onto the podium and he looks really, really happy. He doesn't even know where to go on the podium. He hasn't been there that long. Vettel on the podium. And then Max Verstappen, who you have to say, out of the top drivers, was the best out of them because he made the least mistakes and had the best pace. Great drive by Max Verstappen. And when it comes to his race wins, he should do poor starts every time because the last 2 race wins, he's had awful starts and come out on top somehow. So there you go. Right. Great for Kvyat, absolutely. Right, I'm going to read out a couple more comments and then we'll come to the end of the stream. Crazy race, absolutely. Nice job of presenting the race mates, thank you. Bottas messed up today. And yeah, being John Malkowitz says, yeah, Max always wins when he messes up the start. But guys, that is it for the greatest watch along I've ever done. Because it has been the greatest race we've ever seen together. And we've had record viewers. 2,100 people watching live. I cannot thank you guys enough for such a great day of racing and a great stream. All you guys, you're all absolutely, you're absolute legends. Thank you for coming along. And if you are new, hopefully you have subscribed because we do this for every weekend. So don't worry, every weekend this is. Nib, this, you have to say, it's been probably the best 2 to 3 hours we've ever spent with each other. Absolutely great race. And yeah, thank you for being on for this race.
Absolutely. I have had some mega commentary so far today. Goodness gracious me. I don't know how we can get much better than that. That was one of the most ridiculous Grand Prix I've ever seen. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, everyone. What a race. What supporters we have here on the Chazza HD F1 YouTube channel. And we'll see you guys later.
Absolutely, absolutely. But before I go, I'm just going to let you guys know what's coming up. So race review will be out in about an hour's time, around 5:15 p.m. UK time. And then tomorrow at 12 p.m. UK time on Monday, I will do my incident analysis for the German Grand Prix, where I will analyse probably about 1 million incidents in an hour-long video because there's so much to go through. So that's what I'm going to, look at, all the incidents in tomorrow's video, 12 p.m. UK time. And then on Wednesday will be the podcast previewing the Hungarian Grand Prix. Me and Nib will do that. And on Thursday, we're probably going to have another video for you guys as well. And then, of course, Friday, practice watch along for Hungary. Saturday, quali watch along for Hungary and qualifying review. And then next Sunday, race watch along and race review for the Hungarian Grand Prix is what is coming up in the next week or so on the channel. But guys, again, thank you guys so much. Again, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, comment down below what you thought of this video and what did you think of this absolutely mega race as well. Don't forget to join the Discord, best place for notifications of my videos and streams, and is the hardcore Chazza HDF1 community. If you want to go join that, make sure to do so as well. Follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110 and check out my website chazzahd.com for more content like this. And guys, until my incident analysis video and until the next Grand Prix in 2019, next Sunday, the 2019 Hungarian Grand Prix, it has been me, Chazza HD. Goodbye.